The Priestess's time travel. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 426, Niangniang. Su Qingni was eager to see her original husband, sister-in-law, and brother-in-law come back to help her dig a pit. As for how to play husband and wife with her original husband, let's talk about it later. The most important thing at the moment is to bury all the dead. Although the weather has turned color now, the corpses will stink if they are left outside for a long time, which will cause corpse plague. At noon, after Su Qingni fed her children, she ate the elixir she made, changed the medicine for her wounds, drank a bowl of white rice porridge, took a nap, and continued to dig pits in the afternoon. The results in the afternoon were better. 2 pits were dug and 2 people were buried. After dinner, 2 more pits were dug and 2 people were buried. In the next few days, Su Qingni took care of the children while digging pits, and finally buried everyone. Su Qingni stood in the yard and recited the mantra of rebirth, hoping that these innocent people could be reborn in a good way in the next life and live a safe life. After doing all this, Su Qingni had time to think about it. Her original husband, sister-in-law, brother-in-law, and even her eldest daughter did not come back. Did they hide after hearing the news that their family was wiped out, or did something happen to them? Otherwise, why didn't they go home to check the situation? Su Qingni tended to the second situation. After all, they were her biological parents. How could children not rush home to collect their bodies after hearing the news that their parents were in trouble? They should have also encountered evil people chasing them, right? Su Qingni couldn't help but worry. The eldest daughter of the original body must not be in trouble. Su Qingni originally thought that she would stay in the house that was now regarded as a haunted house to practice martial arts first, and then go out when her martial arts got better. But now, she had to go out to find the eldest daughter of the original body. After putting all the silver bills in the house on her body, Su Qingni changed her clothes, put on a set of maid clothes, tied her youngest son on her back, and left the house at night. Fortunately, she took medicine every day these days, and Su Qingni's injuries had healed by 70% or 80%, and the symptoms of blood loss were much lighter, and her walking was not much different from that of ordinary people. Except for the door, Su Qingni realized that she had made a big mistake. The town gates will be closed at night. Although the low city walls can only stop ordinary people, not the high-profile people in the world, Su Qingni is just an ordinary person now. The city gates are closed, and she can't leave the city at all. Is she going to stay at the city gates and wait for the city gates to open? The weather was cold at night, and the original owner was not well yet, and the child was still young. If they stayed at home all night, they would be frozen sick. Su Qingni had to go back home and rest at home for a night. When the rooster just crowed and the sky was just getting light, Su Qingni went out and came to the city gate. At this time, the guard at the city gate yawned and opened the city gate, and Su Qingni became the first person to leave the city. After leaving the city, there were fewer people who knew the original body, and Su Qingni was more convenient to do things. Su Qingni took out the copper coins and rented an ox cart in a nearby village, and asked the driver to take her to the nearby town. When she arrived at the nearby town, Su Qingni came to the outside of her brother-in-law's friend's house. After a careful look, she found that her brother-in-law's friend's family had not suffered any misfortune. After everything was settled, Su Qingni dressed up as a village woman who went to the city to sell vegetables, approached the servants of her brother-in-law's friend's family, and asked them about her brother-in-law. From the servants, Su Qingni learned that her brother-in-law Jian Boyu's family was killed. He knew about the tragedy at home the next day and left immediately to go home. He was worried that the villain had not left the Jian family and was afraid that it would be dangerous to return to the Jian family, so he left his niece Jian Ziyin at his friend's house. However, just one day ago, Jian Ziyin suddenly disappeared from her friend's house. There was no sign of being killed, she just disappeared. The people in the friend's family judged that it should be a master who took the child away. Su Qingni. Could it be that the original owner's daughter is the protagonist or an important supporting role in a certain storybook? She had a rough life since childhood, her family was wiped out, and she was the only one alive. She was accepted as an apprentice by a master, practiced peerless martial arts, and found out the truth when she grew up to avenge her family? Then should we still look for the original owner's daughter? Su Qingni thought about it and decided to look for her. At least, she wanted to make sure that the original body's daughter was really safe. If she was really safe and had a master to teach her, it would be okay to separate from the child. After all, the original body's wish was just to let her two children live and grow up safely. The most important thing now is the original body's brother-in-law Jianboyu. He had been away from his friend's house for several days, but Su Qingni did not wait for Jianboyu at the Jian family mansion. It is very likely that this person had an accident on the road. I wonder if he is still alive? Su Qingni had to look for him both emotionally and rationally. If the person is still alive, she can still save people with her medical skills. And if the person is dead, she can at least let the person rest in peace. Well, Su Qingni, who had been digging pits for several days, has become addicted to digging. This time, Su Qingni did not take the ox cart again, but walked back slowly, inquiring about Jianboyu's news while walking. If people pass by, they will definitely leave traces. What's more, Jianboyu was being hunted down, and there should not be too many traces left along the way. Su Qingni followed the traces. Although she had not yet practiced martial arts, she had refined a lot of medicines before going out. Except for the medicines for saving lives, healing injuries and detoxification, the others were all poisons with different effects. Even the poison with the same effect as sand and cool breeze was made. With these medicines as a backing, Su Qingni dared to look for Jianboyu. Otherwise, she would not be a saint who would disregard her life for others. After being injured, Jianboyu fled to the mountains and forests, trying to use the terrain in the mountains and forests to get rid of the people chasing him. There should be 3 people chasing him, and their martial arts are between the second-rate and first-rate levels. Jianboyu's own strength has just reached the second rate, and he is not a match for the 3 people at all. He was lucky to escape from them. Fortunately, Jianboyu used the mountains and forests as a cover, and for a while he really didn't let the 3 killers catch up with him and kill him. However, Jianboyu should have been seriously injured. If he was accidentally discovered by any of the 3, he would never be able to escape and would surely die. Su Qingni followed a trail into the forest. Without martial arts, her movements were heavy and the noises she made were loud. Soon she was noticed by the 3 killers. 3 people appeared in front of Su Qingni from 3 directions. Because Su Qingni changed her appearance with makeup and decorations, the 3 killers did not recognize her as the young lady of the Jian family. They just thought she was an ordinary woman who entered the forest to collect firewood or look for wild vegetables. Kill her. One person said, "It's her bad luck." Another person walked towards Su Qingni with a sword in hand. Su Qingni lowered her head, looking very scared, and counted silently in her heart, 1, 2, 3. Chapter 427, Jianghu III. 1, 2, 3. When they counted to 7, all 3 killers fell down. They were still able to speak, but they were so weak that they couldn't even hold their weapons. "Who are you?" one person shouted. Su Qingni raised her head and stared at them coldly. "I want to ask who you are. Tell me, who are you? Why are you chasing Jianboyu? Why do you want to destroy the Jian family?" The 3 people did not answer. After finding out that they were in a situation and couldn't escape from Su Qingni's hands, the 3 people bit the poison sac hidden in their mouths and died of poison. Su Qingni was entangled for a while whether to dig a pit to bury the people. In the end, she dug a big pit as it had become a habit, and threw the 3 people into a pit to bury them. After doing all this, Su Qingni went deep into the mountains to look for Jianboyu. Following the clues, Su Qingni finally found Jianboyu under a cliff. The child was seriously injured and fell from a high altitude. All his internal organs were damaged and his bones were broken in many places. He was already dying. If Su Qingni had come 5 minutes later, Jianboyu would have died without the 3 assassins. Su Qingni quickly gave Jianboyu medicine for his injuries, and then helped him to straighten his bones and treat his external injuries. During this time, the youngest son Jianzili was hungry and cried loudly. Su Qingni fed Jianzili with a stored fruit syrup. And Jianboyu was also awakened by Jianzili's crying. He looked at Su Qingni who was holding the child and feeding him in a daze. He seemed to recognize the 2 of them. He whispered sister-in-law and then fainted again. Su Qingni fed the child and hurried to treat Jianboyu. Fortunately, the pills she had taken before kept Jianboyu alive, and he was already on the verge of life and death. Su Qingni had to take care of young children and treat seriously injured patients in the wilderness where there was nothing. You can imagine how hard it was for Su Qingni. She was so busy that she didn't even have time to practice martial arts. However, Su Qingni had taught humans how to work, find food, and get clean drinking water when humans were still primitive shortly after their birth. Su Qingni was busy carrying the child on her back. Because she had no force, she couldn't build a house at the moment, and she couldn't dig out the stone pot. But Su Qingni used bamboo and bark as pots, caught fish to stew soup and boil medicine. When Jianboi woke up again, he smelled the smell of medicine and fish soup mixed together. Jianboi blinked and saw a sky full of stars. Is he not dead? Is he still alive? Jianboi remembered that he seemed to be awake for a moment before, and seemed to see his sister-in-law feeding his little nephew. Wasn't that his dream? No, it wasn't. Although it was only for a moment, he was sure that it was his sister-in-law Su Qingni and his little nephew Jianzili. They are not dead, they are still alive? Jianboi wanted to sit up in excitement, but his body was weak and he couldn't help but scream in pain. His slightly raised body fell back heavily. Awake. A pleasant female voice came into Jianboi's ears, very familiar. Sister-in-law. Jianboi shouted excitedly, but he couldn't get up. He could only turn his head and look for Su Qingni. Su Qingni came forward with the child on her back, holding a bamboo tube in her hand. Sister-in-law, it's really you. You're not dead? That's great. Jianboi was so happy that tears came down his face. He also saw that Su Qingni seemed to be carrying something on her back. That must be his little nephew, right? Su Qingni walked forward, half-lifted Jianboi, supported his back with one hand, and put the bamboo tube in her hand to Jianboi's mouth with the other hand, and said softly, "It's me, Zion Ali and I are doing well in the shop. Don't get too excited, drink the medicine quickly." Yes. Jianboi obediently drank the medicine juice and the bamboo tube from Su Qingni's hand. Su Qingni put Jianboi back on the ground and lay him down, then walked away with the bamboo tube. Jianboi was a little panicked and quickly called out, "Sister-in-law. Don't worry, I won't leave." Su Qingni responded to Jianboi. She put the fish soup on the fireside and waited for it to cool down before feeding Jianboi. Knowing that Jianboi would be worried if he couldn't see her, Su Qingni returned to Jianboi's side after doing all this, sat down cross-legged, so that Jianboi could see her. "Sister-in-law, are my parents still alive?" Jianboi asked the question he was most concerned about. Su Qingni sighed and shook her head. Jianboi's tears started to flow. This young man was only 18 years old. He was the youngest son that the head and wife of the Jian family loved the most. He had a deep relationship with his parents. He was very sad when his parents died. Therefore, when he heard the news that his family was exterminated, he rushed back home immediately regardless of his friend's obstruction. As a result, he was discovered by the killers who were hiding outside the door of the Jian family waiting for the fish to be caught. He was chased all the way to the forest and was almost killed. Jianboi cried softly at first, and then his voice became louder and louder. He didn't have any idea that men don't shed tears easily. He just wanted to cry out loud, crying for the death of his parents and crying for the destruction of his home. Su Qingni didn't stop the child. The young man needed to vent his emotions. Jianboi's crying woke up Jianzili, and the child also burst into tears. Su Qingni had no choice but to put the child down from her back, hold the child away from Jianboi, and coax the child softly. After the child stopped crying, Su Qingni stood for a long time, until she heard Jianboi's crying gradually stopped. She went back with the child in her arms. Jianboi's eyes were red, and when he saw Su Qingni coming over, he hurriedly asked, "Sister-in-law, where are the eldest brother and second sister?" They didn't die when the family was exterminated." Su Qingni said, "They were outside at the time, just like you. But how are they now? Whether they will be hunted down like you, I don't know." Jianboi was silent. He naturally hoped that his eldest brother and second sister were alive, but could they really be? He was lucky enough to be alive, could they be as lucky as he was? "Sister-in-law? How did you and Xiaolei survive?" Jianboi was very confused. He was lucky to survive, but it was a miracle that Su Qingni and his little nephew survived. Sister-in-law didn't know martial arts, so naturally she didn't like to run outside like the three brothers and sisters. Sister-in-law often stayed at home. He was sure that when the family was exterminated, sister-in-law should have been in the Jian residence. Su Qingni said, "Xiaolei was asleep at the time, and I hid him in the secret compartment of the bed. I was stabbed in the chest and was seriously injured. I fainted immediately. The evil people thought I was a weak woman who would definitely not survive, so they ignored me. Chapter 428, Jianghu 4. Su Qingni briefly told Jianboi about her original identity and what happened after she arrived. Jianboi was shocked when he heard it. It was too dangerous. If those evil people had stabbed his sister-in-law again, and if his sister-in-law had not woken up, both his sister-in-law and his nephew would have died. He would not have been found and rescued by his sister-in-law. Jianboi asked in confusion, "Sister-in-law actually knows medicine?" Su Qingni said calmly, "I read a few medical books when I was at home, and some things were memorized in my mind. I didn't expect that I could use them now. In the future, I still have to study more medical books." Jianboi did not doubt Su Qingni's statement, and agreed, "Thanks to sister-in-law for reading those medical books, my brother's life was saved. It would be better for sister-in-law to learn more medical skills. My brother will have to trouble you often in the future." The meaning of his words is naturally that after he recovers from his injuries, he will track down the real culprit of the Jian family's extermination and seek revenge on the murderer, so he will definitely be injured many times. Jianboi, you won't trust outsiders easily. If the enemy pretends to be a doctor and poisons his medicine, he will be finished. The only person he can trust is his sister-in-law. By the way, sister-in-law, I have Xiangwen in my friend's house. She is safe. I will take you to pick her up when I am better. No need. Su Qingni said. In order not to make the seriously injured Jianboi worry and feel guilty, Su Qingni considered her words and said, "I have been to your friend's house to look for you. Xiangwen is no longer at his house. I heard that she was taken away by a master. It should be that the master saw Xiangwen's outstanding talent and wanted to take Xiangwen as his apprentice." Really? Jianboi's eyes lit up. That's really Xiangwen's good fortune. Young men like to listen to storytelling. Storytellers mostly tell stories about a young man who fell off a cliff and discovered martial arts secrets, or was taken in as an apprentice by a master at a young age and learned powerful martial arts. Jianboi is between the ages of a young man and a teenager. He likes to listen to such storytelling and often fantasizes that one day he will meet a master or get a profound martial arts secret by chance. Now, he himself did not encounter such a good thing, but his niece did. Jianboi was very happy for his niece. But she still felt a little disappointed. Why wasn't it her? Su Qingni saw Jianboi's mood changes and had an idea in her mind. She must practice martial arts. In order to prevent Jianboi from feeling awkward, there must be a way to explain the origin of martial arts. Since this child took the story in the storytelling book as true, why not do the same thing and let this child really think that he fell off a cliff and survived, and got a secret book of martial arts? Thinking of this, Su Qingni's mouth curled up slightly. "Sister-in-law, what are you thinking about?" Jianboi asked in confusion. "Nothing." Su Qingni stood up and said, "The fish soup has cooled down. I'll feed you." As she said that, she picked up the bamboo tube containing the fish soup, lifted Jianboi up, and fed him the fish soup. "You should have a good rest and heal your wounds quickly," Su Qingni instructed Jianboi. Jianboi nodded, knowing that he couldn't do anything with his current body. He could only rest and recuperate. Only after he recovered could he find out about his brother and sister, find out who the murderer was, and avenge his parents. Jianboi closed his eyes and fell asleep soon. Su Qingni fed the remaining fish soup to the child and coaxed the child to sleep. Su Qingni finally had time to practice martial arts. The aptitude of the possessed body was quite good, but the girl had never practiced martial arts, was old, and many meridians were blocked. Su Qingni cultivated the sense of qi at the first time, but these internal qi could not enter the danshan, and all were used to open up the meridians. After one night, Su Qingni didn't open up any of the 12 meridians and 8 extraordinary meridians, and only open up the scattered small veins nearby. After stopping practicing, a layer of light ash appeared on the body, but fortunately there was a small puddle at the bottom of the cliff, connected to the underground river. Su Qingni wiped her body with clean water. The wind was cool in the early morning. Without the protection of internal force, Su Qingni had goosebumps all over her body. After cleaning herself, Su Qingni started another busy day. She had to find food to feed the 2 injured and the child who had no mobility, pick fresh herbs to boil and change medicine for the injured, find plants that could be used as seasoning, and, after a busy day, Su Qingni was almost exhausted. However, the effect of practicing internal strength under this situation was quite good. After one night, Su Qingni opened up a positive meridian. Although the internal force could not be stored in the Danshan, her body was much better and her strength became stronger. On this day, Su Qingni took the knife left by the killer and cut a lot of bamboos, and decided to build a small bamboo house. It is not possible to sleep under the sky all the time. If it rains one day, the children and the injured will get sick and their injuries will be aggravated. Jianboyu has been cared for by Su Qingni for the past 2 days. His injuries have improved a lot and he is awake more often. He woke up and saw Su Qingni using the killer's knife to deal with the bamboo. His eyebrows jumped and he asked hurriedly, "Sister-in-law, where did you get the knife in your hand?" Su Qingni heard the voice, turned back and smiled comfortingly. "Don't worry, the people chasing you were poisoned by me and lost the power to resist. I have solved them." Jianboy was relieved. Sister-in-law is amazing. By the way, sister-in-law, has your strength increased? Yes. Su Qingni smiled. Your sister-in-law and I have an adventure. What adventure? Jianboy asked curiously, wondering in his heart, could it be that his sister-in-law found some rare treasures in the mountains and forests, and her strength increased after eating them? Su Qingni smiled and said, I'll tell you, don't get excited, otherwise the wound will split. Jianboy became more curious after hearing this. Could it be that his sister-in-law really ate the treasures of heaven and earth? He was so envious, and he wanted to eat it too. Jianboy swallowed and said, I'm not excited. I'm mentally prepared. Sister-in-law, you tell me. Even if you really ate the treasures of heaven and earth, I would not be jealous of you. Su Qingni took out a piece of white cloth from her arms. There were words written on it, but the color of the words was not black, and it didn't look like it was written with ink. Su Qingni held the cloth in front of Jianboy and shook it, saying, I found this when I was investigating the environment nearby. I found the inscriptions in a corner of the mountain wall. After careful identification, I found that it was engraved with the word Zhang Wuji hid the scriptures here. I felt strange, so I dug up the ground under the words and found that there was something wrapped in oil paper inside, and then wrapped in wax to prevent the things inside from being damaged. I opened the oil paper package out of curiosity, and saw a piece of white cloth with words written on it. The first 4 words were Niangniang Manual. Chapter 429, Jianghu 5. I have read that scripture, and it turned out to be a very profound method of cultivating internal strength. Su Qingni said, I thought that I don't know martial arts, and I can only hold you and the children back in the future, so I practiced according to the content above. However, in 2 days, although I didn't cultivate internal strength, my physical fitness has improved and my strength has increased. It can be seen that this internal strength method is not simple. Jianboy was stunned, and 2 sentences flashed in his mind. What the storyteller said is true. There really is a martial arts secret book under the cliff. Jianboy was so excited that his face turned red, and he shouted to Su Qingni, Sister-in-law, sister-in-law, show me the secret book. Su Qingni smiled and put the white cloth on Jianboy's chest, saying, This scripture is given to you to keep. But you are still injured now, so you can't practice. Wait until your injury is healed, and then practice, understand? Jianboy nodded repeatedly, staring at the white cloth on his chest like a puppy staring at a meat bone, stretched out his hand to pick up the white cloth, and raised it above his eyes. Su Qingni warned him again not to practice martial arts before his injury healed, otherwise her skills would be confiscated and he would never be allowed to read them again. Jianboy wanted to read the contents immediately, but after hearing Su Qingni's warning, he couldn't help but stuff the white cloth into the lapel of his chest. He was afraid that he would not be able to help practicing after reading the contents. If something really happened, it would be a small matter if his sister-in-law confiscated his skills, but it would be a big problem if his body was further injured. Su Qingni saw Jianboy's actions and nodded. With his temperament, this child is worth cultivating. Whether the Jian family can take revenge depends on the child. As for the little girl who is similar to the heroine and important supporting role of the original daughter, the child should grow up happily. If the sky falls, there are elders to help hold it up. Next, Jianboy became more obedient. He didn't give any discounts when he was asked to take medicine. Even when he needed to take medicine and change the dressing, he urged Su Qingni to make the injury heal faster so that he could start practicing the Niangniang magic skill. With his own beliefs and Su Qingni's medical skills, Jianboy's injury naturally healed quickly. In a few days, Jianboy was able to sit up, although he couldn't walk yet, and he couldn't practice internal skills yet. Su Qingni moved a big stone behind Jianboyu, let Jianboyu lean against the big stone, and then threw her youngest son to Jianboyu to take care of, so she could do things without any worries. After more than 10 days, Su Qingni opened up 6 of the 12 meridians, and the internal force could be stored in the Danshan. With the help of internal force, Su Qingni can do more things. She first built a bamboo house, made a bed and furniture with bamboo, and moved Jianboyu and Jianzilai into the house. Stones were used as materials to make stone pots and stone bowls and other utensils. After that, they no longer had to cook in small quantities with bamboo tubes, which was time-consuming and laborious. With a stone pot, one pot could cook enough food for 3 people. Animal skins were used to make warm clothes and quilts and mats, preparing for the coming of winter. A month later, Jianboyu's injuries were almost healed, and Su Qingni allowed Jianboyu to practice the Niangniang magic skill. Jianboyu practiced hard without sleep and forgetting food, and Su Qingni was finally half relieved. From then on, she focused on taking care of her youngest son. During this period, Su Qingni went out of the mountains. Su Qingni simply put on makeup for herself and dressed up as an old woman in her 40s. Jianboyu was stunned and admired her. He said that this was the legendary disguise technique and asked Su Qingni to teach him. Su Qingni agreed, and after telling Jianboyu to take care of his youngest son, he performed light skills and left the bottom of the cliff where they were temporarily staying. Su Qingni came to the town where the Jian family was. The town had completely returned to peace, and those who had killed the entire Jian family had all left. Others dared not approach the Jian family, which became a famous haunted house in the town. Su Qingni entered the house to investigate, and only saw the traces left before she left, no other traces. It seemed that Jianboyu's brother and sister had never entered the house. She asked around in the town and nearby, and except for Jianboyu who was hunted down a month ago, no one else was hunted down. It seems that Jianboyu and Jianboyu are more alert than Jianboyu, and they hid when they found the killer. Knowing that these 2 people were fine, Su Qingni stopped asking about the 2 people. She is not the original owner. If she finds the original owner's husband Jianboyu, how should she face it? It's better to leave the matter of finding someone to Jianboyu. After returning to the town and buying a lot of daily necessities and food, Su Qingni returned to the forest carrying a large basket. The basket is really big, half the height of a person, and the volume is naturally needless to say. It is full of things, and the weight will not be less than 400 or 500 kilograms. Su Qingni had internal strength, so although it was a little strenuous for her to carry the basket, she was still able to move freely. Some people had originally had bad thoughts because they saw her spending so much money on so many things, but after seeing the huge basket, all those people backed off. Su Qingni returned to the bottom of the cliff, and the child had already been crying and making a fuss for his mother. Su Qingni comforted the child and told Jianboyu the news she had found out. Jianboyu was relieved to hear that there was no news about his brother and sister. At this time, no news is the best news. I guess Jianboyu and Jianboyu are still safe. Jianboyu comforted himself like this and practiced harder. Except for eating and sleeping, he practiced every day. Daily necessities at the bottom of the cliff are already complete, and Su Qingni no longer has to be as busy as when she first entered the forest. In addition to taking care of her youngest son and taking care of 3 meals a day, she also spends most of her time practicing martial arts. Su Qingni herself is a plug-in, and her practice progress is much faster than Jianboyu. Su Qingni could complete the harvest of Jianboyu's 2 days of hard work in half a day. She had extra time to instruct Jianboyu. After spending a winter at the bottom of the cliff, Jianboyu's internal strength had been slightly improved. He decided to go out to find his brothers and sisters and explore the truth of the destruction of the Jian family. Although the Niangniang magic art was only a minor achievement, it was compiled by Su Qingni with a vision of a great god. It was of the same grade as War God Atlas and Eternal Life Secret. If practiced well, it could also break the void. Although Jianboyu was only a minor achievement, his martial arts skills were already first class in this world. And if he continued to practice unremittingly, he would definitely become the person standing at the top of this world. Su Qingni was not worried about Jianboyu's safety because there were very few people who could kill him with his current martial arts. What's more, Su Qingni also prepared a lot of medicine for him to defend himself. Chapter 430, Jianghu Vi. After Jianboyu left, Su Qingni also left the bottom of the cliff with her youngest son. She also had to look for the eldest daughter of her original body. The person who took Jian Ziyan away did not leave any clues, but Jian Ziyan herself was a clue. The person who took her away could not have not eaten and could not have not come into contact with people, right? Su Qingni followed this clue to find it, and she really found the clue. It is said that when the great elder of Lingshu Pavilion went to a restaurant for dinner, he was accompanied by a girl who looked similar to Jian Ziyan. Lingshu Pavilion is a sect in the rivers and lakes that is composed entirely of women. Although it is not a first-class force in the rivers and lakes, because the female disciples of the sect have married people from other sects and other forces, Lingshu Pavilion has a wide network of people and many backers, and no one is willing to provoke Lingshu Pavilion. If Jian Ziyan entered Lingshu Pavilion, this is indeed a good place to go. Su Qingni took the little girl Qiao Kui and the young boy Zhuang Fei who were rescued on the road and turned to Lingshu Pavilion. Qiao Kui's mother died early, and her stepmother regarded her as a thorn in her side. Her biological father naturally became her stepfather. The two wanted to sell Qiao Kui to the women's branch for money. Su Qingni happened to pass by and saw that Qiao Kui would rather die than be sold to the women's branch, so she paid to buy Qiao Kui. Qiao Kui was a diligent girl. She was very grateful to Su Qingni for buying her and saving her from being sold to a dirty place. She was very loyal to Su Qingni. As soon as she came to Su Qingni, she took over the job of taking care of Jian Zili and took good care of the child. Zhuang Fei's father was originally a man in the rivers and lakes. Later, he retired from the rivers and lakes because of a broken leg. He married Zhuang Fei's mother and lived an ordinary life. This ordinary life did not last for a few years. Zhuang's father's former enemy came to the door and killed Zhuang's father. Zhuang's mother desperately held the enemy to let Zhuang Fei escape, and she was killed by the enemy. The Zhuang family was burned down. Without his parents and his family, Zhuang Fiji, who was only 6 or 7 years old, became a beggar. When Su Qingni saw the child, he was beaten half to death by other beggars for a steamed bun. If no one came forward to help, there would be another dead beggar on the street in a few days. Since Su Qingni had met him, she had to save him. After wiping the child's face, she found that he was a very handsome little boy, and the child had good aptitude for martial arts, so she took the child with her. When the child was well, she taught him martial arts and asked Qiao Kui to learn with him. But she didn't know that after she left with Zhuang Fiji, the leader of the demon cult came to this county town and left after staying for one night. According to the original trajectory, the leader of the demon cult would find that Zhuang Fiji had extraordinary aptitude and was very suitable for practicing the magic cult skills, so he took him back to the demon cult. More than 10 years later, the daughter of the original body enters the martial arts world and will have a dispute with the new leader of the demon cult, Zhuang Feizhen. Then she will work together with her righteous lover to deal with the demon cult and Zhuang Feizhen, and regard Zhuang Feizhen as a stepping stone for her and her lover to become famous in the martial arts world. Su Qingni taught the two children to practice martial arts along the way and taught them to read. Qiao Kui is clumsy in both reading and martial arts, so she doesn't put too much thought on these two things. She would rather take care of Jian Zili and work as a maid when she has time. Qiao Kui's maid is very good. Su Qingni taught her several embroidery methods. The child learned it once, got the hang of it after 2 times, and embroidered it very well after 3 times. Zhuang Feizhen is worthy of the qualification favored by the leader of the demon cult. Practicing martial arts can be said to be twice the result with half the effort, and it is faster than Jian Boyu's practice speed. He also has a talent for reading. Su Qingni usually teaches Li and martial arts and half of the time teaches him to read and learn literature. She wants to teach this child to be both civil and martial, so that he can kill all the young heroes in the world in seconds. Lingshu Pavilion is located in the south of the Yangtze River and is a small island in the lake. Although it is called a small island, the area is not small. The scenery on the island and the surrounding area is very good. The beautiful girls live on it, which adds a bit of beauty to the island. The sphere of influence of Lingshu Pavilion is naturally not limited to this small island. The entire lake and part of the land on the lakeshore are included in its territory. Therefore, although Su Qingni wanted to go to the island to watch it, she was blocked by the disciples of Lingshu Pavilion on the lake shore. Su Qingni explained her intention to the disciple of Lingshu Pavilion who was guarding the gate. The disciple pitied her separation from her daughter and was very kind to Su Qingni. He arranged for her and her 3 children to wait in the tea house managed by Lingshu Pavilion. She asked someone to go back to the island to find out if there was such a person as Jian Ziyan. The people who investigated came back soon, and brought Jian Ziyan himself with them. However, Jian Ziyan was followed by a beautiful woman in her 30s. She was Jian Ziyan's master, Yishu Io, the so-called expert who took Jian Ziyan away from Jian Boy's friend's house. Jian Ziyan rushed over when he saw Su Qingni, and Su Qingni hurriedly caught a little girl. The little girl hugged Su Qingni and tears flowed down. The little girl was already 6 years old and was sensible. Naturally, the little girl knew what happened in the Jian family. She thought her parents and brother were dead, and she was very sad. She hid in the corner of her friend's yard and cried alone. She was seen by Yishuiao, who was passing by. Yishuiao saw that the little girl was beautiful and very pleasing to her eyes. Seeing that the little girl was crying miserably, she appeared beside the little girl and asked her what happened. Jian Ziyan was a face dog like Yishuiao. Seeing that Yishuiao was beautiful, he told Yishuiao everything about the Jian family. Yishuiao's eyes lit up after hearing it. This time when she went out, she planned to take in an apprentice to inherit her mantle. She met a few girls who looked good and were pleasing to her eyes, but they all had families and were unwilling to be separated from their families. Yishuiao took in apprentices to take them back to Lingshu Pavilion and teach them by her side. These girls were unwilling to leave home, so Yishuiao naturally would not take them as apprentices. And Jian Ziyan not only suited her eyes, but also had no family left, so she could take her directly back to Lingshu Pavilion. Yishuiao immediately checked Jian Ziyan's qualifications and found that the girl's qualifications were super good, which was rare in a century. Without saying anything more, she directly carried the girl away without even saying hello to Jian Boy's friends. As if she was afraid that she would regret saying hello and something would happen. Hearing that Jian Ziyan's mother was not dead and came to find her, Yishuiao followed her out worriedly, for fear that this good apprentice she had finally found would be taken away by her mother. Su Qingni let the little girl cry for a while before she wiped her tears and sent her to see her little brother. She turned to Yishuiao and bowed deeply. "Thank you, Senior, for thinking highly of my daughter and accepting her as your apprentice." Chapter 431, Jianghu 7. Ziyan and I have a master-disciple relationship, so you don't need to thank me. Yishuiao said lightly. Now Ziyan has become my disciple, and she cannot leave Lingshu Pavilion before she finishes her studies. What are your plans? If you can't bear to leave your daughter, I can arrange for you to settle down in the town under the jurisdiction of Lingshu Pavilion. Anyway, the Jian family is gone, so it's okay for you to move here. Our Lingshu Pavilion can still protect you orphans and widows, and won't let anyone bully you. But Ziyan has to focus on practicing martial arts, so he can't see you often, and can only see you during festivals. Yishuiao values Jian Ziyan as a disciple, and the arrangements for Su Qingni and others are quite careful, but Su Qingni does not accept this arrangement. Knowing that the original body's daughter is safe, with a good master and sect, she doesn't have to worry about her future, and she doesn't have to worry about the child anymore. She saw that Jian Ziyan and Yishuiao had a good master-disciple relationship, and the two were very close, and she was relieved to leave Jian Ziyan to Yishuiao to take care of him. Su Qingni said, "The child's father and aunt also escaped the disaster, but I don't know where they are. I still have to look for them. I appreciate the kindness of the senior. I will come to visit Ziyan every year during the holidays." "That's fine." Hearing that Su Qingni was unwilling to stay, Yishuiao was happier. Jian Ziyan was reluctant to leave her mother, but she wanted to stay in Lingshu Pavilion to learn martial arts. The little girl knew a lot of things. She knew that the Jian family was far inferior to Lingshu Pavilion. Even if her grandfather, the head of the Jian family, was alive, he would be servile in front of the disciples of Lingshu Pavilion. She knew that the martial arts of the Jian family could not be compared with Lingshu Pavilion. Practicing the martial arts of the Jian family could only become a second-rate master, while practicing the martial arts of Lingshu Pavilion could become a top master in the world. Jian Ziyan wanted to take revenge, so she naturally had to learn more advanced martial arts. And she also had to have a higher status in the world. These ideas were thought up by the little girl during this period. Therefore, even though she was reluctant to be separated from her mother, Jian Ziyan also firmly chose to stay in Lingshu Pavilion and stay with her master. Su Qingni saw the little girl's thoughts and naturally respected her. After staying in Lingshu Pavilion for 3 days, Su Qingni said goodbye to the little girl and left. The two things that the original owner was most concerned about had been solved. Su Qingni was relaxed and traveled around with her son, apprentice and maid to find the extremely yin place. The youngest son Jian Zili was originally a strong and healthy little guy. Along the way, Su Qingni collected medicinal herbs for the little guy to bathe, making the little guy stronger and his muscles and bones better. After 3 or 4 years, the little guy will learn martial arts, and the speed will definitely be faster than Zhuang Fiyu. The little guy grew up twice like a balloon, and a year passed. During this year, Su Qingni did not find the extremely yin place. As for the husband of the original owner, Su Qingni did not look for him carefully. Anyway, Jian Boy was looking for him. Jian Boy often communicated with Su Qingni, and he himself made a name for himself in the world with his martial arts skills of the Niangniang magic art, so Su Qingni got more news from him. Jian Boy has challenged many masters in the world of martial arts during this year, and he won all of them. His name has spread throughout the world of martial arts, and he has been listed among the top 10 young masters in the world of martial arts. He has also been nicknamed Blue Sword. Su Qingni knows why Jian Boy is so high profile. First, he wants to make himself famous so that Jian Boy and Jian Boy know that he is still alive and take the initiative to find Jian Boy. Second, he wants to let the murderer who killed the Jian family know that there are still people alive in the Jian family, so as to lead the murderer out and then find the real murderer and take revenge. This is indeed effective. Except for Jian Boy who did not show up, Jian Boy and the murderer who killed the Jian family both found Jian Boy. Jian Boy thus knew who the real murderer who killed the Jian family was. The real murderer is the eldest daughter of a gang. This gang is not considered a righteous way in the world of martial arts, and the eldest daughter raised in such a force naturally does not take human life seriously. If anyone offends this eldest daughter, the eldest daughter will definitely not let that person go, and will even involve the parents and relatives of the person without following the rules of the world of martial arts. The reason why this young lady wanted to destroy the Jian family was all because of Jian Borao. Jian Borao is beautiful, lively and generous, and quite popular with men. She met Mu Qiansong, a young knight from a famous family, and became a couple with him. And the young lady also liked Mu Qiansong and chased Mu Qiansong all day long. Mu Qiansong was very disgusted with this young lady, so how could he accept her affection? The young lady thought that it was Jian Borao who hindered her. If Jian Borao was gone, Mu Qiansong would accept her. This young lady wanted to get rid of Jian Borao, but Jian Borao always followed Mu Qiansong, and the young lady could not find a chance to attack Jian Borao. Frustrated and annoyed, the young lady poured her anger on the Jian family. If it weren't for the Jian family giving birth to and raising Jian Borao, how could anyone snatch him out from her? Everything originated from the Jian family, and it was all the fault of the Jian family. So, the young lady sent people from the gang to slaughter the entire Jian family. This matter was not done in secret, and many forces in the martial arts world knew about it. However, the Jian family was only a small third or fourth-rate force. Its destruction would not have much impact on the martial arts world and other forces. Naturally, other people would not help the Jian family and uphold justice. In the martial arts world, fists speak, and the strong prey on the weak. Just like the Qingchang sect destroyed the Fuwa escort agency, the Five Mountain Sword sect was on an equal footing with the Qingchang sect, and Liu Zhangfang retired from the Jin Basin and invited the head of the Qingchang sect as a guest of honor. Even when Lin Pingxi told Liu's mansion about the Qingchang sect destroying the Fuwa escort agency, no one helped him to kill Yu the dwarf, let alone stand up for him to seek justice. The reason why Lin Pingxi went astray and used self-mutilation to seek revenge was that he was forced by such a martial arts world. The martial arts world of this world is very similar to the martial arts world of Xiaoyo. After Jian Borao and Jian Boy knew the real murderer, they naturally sought revenge on the young lady. Mu Qiansong also confronted the gang for his beloved girl. During this period of time, Jian Boy fought to support his fighting skills, and his martial arts skills were 3 points higher than when he first came out of the cliff. He challenged the biological father of the eldest lady and killed her father. Because the gang was quite powerful, they were not united internally, and each gang had its own small groups. Not everyone obeyed the eldest lady's father. When the eldest lady's father died, except for some people who were loyal to him, everyone else began to fight for power and profit, and no one went to settle accounts with the Jian siblings. Only the eldest lady took more than 30 people who were loyal to the eldest lady's father to seek revenge on the Jian siblings. Jian Bo and Mu Qiansong teamed up to kill these people, and Jian Borao also killed the eldest lady herself. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 432, Jiang Hu 8. Jian Bo and Jian Borao took the eldest daughter's head back to the Jian family to pay tribute to their parents. They sent a message to Su Qingni, and Su Qingni took Jian Zili back to the Jian family. Jian Zili is a descendant of the Jian family, and it is imperative to go back at this time. Su Qingni also went to Lingshu Pavilion and wanted to take Jian Ziyan back. However, Yishu Iya refused, saying that Jian Ziyan could not leave at this important moment of laying the foundation. Su Qingni took Jian Zili back to the Jian family. The Jian family had been cleaned up by Jian Bo and Jian Borao. Su Qingni buried the bodies in the Jian family's garden. At this time, all the bodies were dug out. The Jian family siblings bought coffins to hold the bodies, transported the bodies out of the city, found a feng shui treasure land, and buried the servants. As for the Jian family's parents, the head of the family buried them in the Jian family's ancestral tomb. The two siblings paid money to hire people in the town to handle this matter. At first, the people in the town did not dare to accept the employment, fearing that those who had wiped out the Jian family would be angry with them. They did not dare to risk their lives for a little money. It was only after Jian Bo came forward and repeatedly assured them that the enemy had been killed by them that these people accepted the employment of the Jian siblings. The Jian family's garden was renovated and repaired, and new flowers and trees were planted in the garden, which looked full of vitality. Jian Zili, who is already more than 2 years old, ran happily in the garden to catch butterflies. The Jian siblings stood under the eaves and watched. They were dazed, as if they had returned to the time before the Jian family was wiped out. Su Qingni sat next to the two of them, and Mu Qiansong sat opposite Su Qingni. He stared at Jian Borao with gentle eyes, and it was obvious that he liked Jian Borao very much. "What are your plans?" Su Qingni suddenly asked Mu Qiansong. Mu Qiansong was stunned for a moment, then said, "Don't worry, sister-in-law, I will marry Xiaorao. I will tell my parents about Xiaorao after I go home, and I will marry Xiaorao after Xiaorao's mourning period is over." Su Qingni asked, "Will your parents agree to let you marry Xiaorao? Xiaorao is just an orphan now, and she has no big background or power." Mu Qiansong smiled slightly, "But she has a brother who is famous in the world and has a bright future." Su Qingni also smiled, "Treat Xiaorao well." "I will." The Jian family siblings know martial arts and have sharp five senses, so they naturally heard the conversation between Su Qingni and Mu Qiansong. Jian Borao's face was flushed, but she looked extremely happy. Jian Bo had an average impression of Mu Qiansong. Although Mu Qiansong was a relatively outstanding young man in the world, the eldest lady destroyed the Jian family because of him, and Jian Bo had a knot in his heart about Mu Qiansong. It was just that his sister liked Mu Qiansong, and for the happiness of his sister, Jian Bo reluctantly accepted Mu Qiansong. "If you treat my sister badly, I will let you know how sharp my sword is." Jian Bo walked in front of Mu Qiansong and said threateningly. Mu Qiansong smiled good-temperedly and promised Jian Bo that he would treat his sister well. Jian Bo got the promise and stopped holding Mu Qiansong. He sat next to Su Qingni and apologized to Su Qingni in a low voice, "Sister-in-law, I'm sorry." Su Qingni's face was full of black question marks. Then Jian Bo said, "I didn't find my brother. It's been more than a year or almost 2 years. My brother may not be alive anymore." Su Qingni nodded. She thought so too. Otherwise, Jian Bo would be quite famous now. If Jian Boheng was still alive, he would definitely hear his name and run out to find him. Jian Boheng has not shown up, so he must be really dead. I'm mentally prepared. Su Qingni said, "You don't need to apologize. This is not your fault. It has nothing to do with you. You have done a good job. The Jian family will rely on you to support it in the future." Jian Bo responded with a heavy nasal tone. "Have you met a girl you like in this year?" Su Qingni asked. Jian Bo blushed and said, I was only thinking about revenge and didn't think about these things." Then you have to think about it now. Now that your revenge is taken, it's time for you to get married and start a family. Su Qingni fulfilled the duties of an elder earnestly. Jian Boyu's face turned even redder and he whispered, I know. Su Qingni, Xiao Yun is in Lingshu Pavilion now. I heard that the girls there are all good. Why don't you go to Lingshu Pavilion under the pretext of visiting Xiao Yun? You might meet a girl you like. Jian Boyu's face was as red as a burning cloud, but he did not object to Su Qingni's proposal. Jian Boyao smiled and said, Sister-in-law, this is a good idea. Little brother, go to Lingshu Pavilion and find a sister-in-law for me. Mu Qiansong also smiled and said, my cousin from my uncle's family is practicing in Lingshu Pavilion. Do you want me to write a letter to her and ask her to help you? Of course, if you can get along with my cousin, we will be happier. Jian Boy couldn't stand being teased by several people. He flipped in the air and slipped away with Qinggong. Before leaving, he also took away his nephew who was running with short legs in the yard. After dealing with the affairs of Jian's parents and the sacrifice, Jian Boy really left home and went to Lingshu Pavilion. Jian Boyao followed Mu Qiansong. Su Qingni naturally wouldn't stay either. She set up a carriage and left Jian's house with her son, Zhuang Fizhen and Qiao Kui. Su Qingni continued to look for the extremely yin place. They were aimless and went wherever they wanted to go, but they didn't go to places they had already been to. Along the way, they encountered a lot of things. Seeing that they were all women and children, many wanted to take advantage of them, but Su Qingni did not make a move and let Zhuang Feiyu send them away. This child has made great progress in honing his martial arts in actual combat. Su Qingni will only take action when she encounters someone that Zhuang Feiyu cannot beat. She does not kill people, but just abolishes their martial arts. However, in the martial arts world, it is more unacceptable to abolish martial arts than to be killed. Without martial arts, all the enemies of those people came to their door, and their days were difficult. Especially some people in the martial arts world who bullied ordinary people. Without martial arts, those ordinary people can finally seek revenge on them. After several times, Su Qingni also had a name in the martial arts world, but it was not as loud as Jian Boyu, and not many people knew about it. On this day, Su Qingni and his group entered a small town. Most of the people in this town are ordinary people, but there is a third-rate martial arts family similar to the Jian family entrenched in the town, using the town as their sphere of influence. Su Qingni is a low-key person and did not attract the attention of this power. She took the children to the only inn in the town to rest. There were not many passers-by in the town, so there should be few guests in the inn. However, Su Qingni was surprised to find that there were quite a few people living in the inn. Fortunately, there were still empty rooms. Su Qingni looked around the inn and did not ask for another room for Zhuang Fimo, but only asked for a superior room. Chapter 433, Jianghu 9. After entering the room, Qiao Kui couldn't help asking, Madam, are there problems with the people in the inn? It was Zhuang Fizhen who answered her, isn't it obvious? Those people don't seem to know each other, but they give people a very similar feeling, which means they are from the same force. They pretend not to know each other, so they must want to do something and deal with someone. Zhuang Fizhen looked eager to try, and he wanted to get involved. Su Qingni pressed him down, don't be nosy. Zhuang Fizhen said unwillingly, Master, what if they want to deal with ordinary people and innocent people, will we not care? Su Qingni laughed and said, they even have to put on makeup and pretend to be passers-by to deal with people, so how could their target be ordinary people? It's hard to manage the grudges in the rivers and lakes. Who knows which side is good and which side is bad? Who knows whether these people who want to take action against others now were victims in the past? Things in the rivers and lakes are hard to say. Zhuang Fizhen was silent. He remembered that his father's death was due to vendetta in the rivers and lakes. There are too many things in the rivers and lakes about who was killed by whom and whose descendants avenged who. It is hard to say who is right or wrong in this kind of thing. Su Qingni patted his head and said softly, go and make a bed on the floor and have a good sleep tonight. We have to travel tomorrow. Zhuang Fiji responded and spread the extra mattress brought by the waiter on the ground by the wall and made a bed on the floor. Su Qingni walked out of the room and after a long time, she brought back a tray with steaming food on it. The four people finished dinner in the room, and Su Qingni sent the tray and dishes out of the room. The three children were not allowed to come into contact with those people throughout the whole process. Although these people were dressed up as people from different industries, their weapons were similar and looked like standard weapons. They were probably people from a big power. The moon climbed up to the middle of the sky, and the inn was very quiet. Qiao Kui and Jian Zilai were already asleep, and Zhuang Fiji was turning over and over on the floor. Su Qingni chuckled, and the boy immediately stopped turning over. Not long after, the boy's even breathing came from the other side. At this time, a subtle sound came into Su Qingni's ears. The rustling sound came from near and far, and soon disappeared. Su Qingni got up and went to the window and looked out. The moon was covered by dark clouds, and without moonlight, it was even darker outside. But this did not affect Su Qingni's side at all. She clearly saw those people heading towards a house. To Su Qingni's surprise, she originally thought that these people came to this town to deal with the only Jianghu force in the town, but it turned out not to be. The direction of these people's movement was opposite to that family. Su Qingni became a little curious, and she also heard Zhuang Fei's words in her heart. What if these people involved ordinary people and innocent people in their Jianghu grievances? Su Qingni didn't want to see what happened to the Jian family happen again. She flew out of the window and landed on the roof of the restaurant opposite the inn. This restaurant is 2 stories high and is the tallest house in the town. Standing on the top, you can see the whole town. She saw those people surrounded a small courtyard, and some of them sneaked into the small courtyard. The people in the small courtyard discovered these people, suddenly broke out of the window and started fighting with them. It can be confirmed that there was no one else in the small courtyard except the person who broke out of the window, and this group of people did not want to implicate innocent people, and the fight was confined to the small courtyard. The sound of fighting spread far away in the silent night, and the Jianghu forces in the town were alarmed. Su Qingni saw that some of them performed qingguang and followed the sound. However, without judging what the situation was, these people were on guard and did not participate in the fight between the 2 parties. Su Qingni felt a gust of wind, and there was another person around him. It was Zhuang Fei. Master, the martial arts of the person surrounded in the middle are so high. Zhuang Fei said in surprise. He followed his master and saw many people in the Jianghu, and none of them had martial arts as high as the person who was surrounded. Even the master's brother-in-law, Jian Boyu, a famous blue-shirted sword god in the Jianghu, was afraid that he did not have as high martial arts as this person. Su Qingni nodded. This man was seriously injured, otherwise, his attack power would be stronger. The martial arts of those who besieged him were not low, and they could be ranked among the top masters in the martial arts world. However, dozens of people besieged one person and could not defeat and kill the person, which shows how strong that person's martial arts was. I'm afraid that even the master-level masters in the martial arts world are not as strong as this person. And from his appearance, this person is not very old. Zhuang Fei, who is puzzled, Master, these are so powerful, they should be very famous in the martial arts world, right? But how can I not match them with any famous and good masters in the martial arts world? Su Qingni said, maybe they don't mix in the martial arts world. Zhuang Fei who? Su Qingni stared at the besieged man inside. This man is crazy. Crazy. Zhuang Fei who looked at the man in confusion, only to see that the man's attack became more fierce, and regardless of whether he would be injured, he desperately attacked the enemy, using a life-for-life fighting method. This is a last resort, right? With so many enemies besieging him, that man might have the chance to survive by doing so. Can't we say he is crazy? Zhuang Fei's eyesight is not as good as Su Qingni's, so he naturally didn't see that the besieged man's eyes were already red and his expression was as ferocious as a demon. Is this a demon? Or is there something wrong with his own skills? After this man was possessed by the demon, his attack power doubled, and he actually broke through the encirclement of those people and ran out of the town. The people who surrounded him chased him out, leaving only 2 people to clean up the remaining bodies on the ground. It's over, go back to sleep. Su Qingni patted Zhuang Fei's head and dragged the boy back to the room before the local forces found them. The boy had just watched a high-level fight and was excited. He couldn't fall asleep on the mattress. Su Qingni flicked her finger and pressed the boy's sleeping point. The next day, there were no other guests in the inn except the 4 of them. The shopkeeper and the waiter should have been informed by the local forces, and they didn't make a fuss about the disappearance of the guests. Seeing Su Qingni coming downstairs with the 3 children, the shopkeeper came forward to greet them warmly, and the waiter quickly brought breakfast. After the 4 people finished breakfast, the waiter had already set up the carriage for them. Su Qingni gave the shopkeeper a silver ingot and the waiter a few copper coins, and as if she knew nothing, she drove the carriage and left the town with the 3 children. The town was calm, and the residents didn't know what happened last night. Chapter 434, Jianghu 10. After the carriage left the town, Su Qingni switched places with Qiao Kui, and Qiao Kui drove the carriage. Zhuang Fihong sat in the carriage and practiced his internal skills. The little boy slept a lot and fell asleep again. Su Qingni took out a storybook and flipped through it casually. The storybooks in this world are very interesting, much more interesting than those in other worlds. Because this world is dominated by the martial arts world, the storybooks are naturally written around the martial arts world. The plots in it are much more exciting than the plot about the scholar and the young lady stealing the beauty. As they were watching, Qiao Kui suddenly exclaimed, and the carriage stopped abruptly. Su Qingni immediately lifted the curtain, and Zhuang Fihong also stopped practicing. The two looked outside and saw a man covered in blood falling in front of their carriage, blocking the way forward. "Madam." Qiao Kui looked at Su Qingni for help. Su Qingni ordered Zhuang Fihong, "Go down and take a look. If there is no hope, dig a pit and bury him. If there is hope, then save him." "Yes." Zhuang Fihong obeyed the order, jumped off the carriage and walked to the side of the bloody man. The bloody man was lying face down, and Zhuang Fihong turned him over with his face facing up. Su Qingni saw the man's appearance clearly. It was the man who was besieged last night. Zhuang Fihong had never seen the man's appearance clearly, so he naturally couldn't recognize him at this time. He stretched out his finger and placed it under the man's nostrils. Feeling a weak breath, he quickly took out a porcelain bottle from his arms. In the bottle was the healing medicine that Su Qingni gave him. Zhuang Fihong poured out a pill and stuffed it into the man's mouth. The man could no longer swallow. Zhuang Fihong pinched his chin and slid his finger around the man's throat a few times. The pill went down the man's throat into his stomach. After doing all this, Zhuang Fihong lifted the man up and moved him to the carriage. "Master, this man can still be saved?" Su Qingni nodded and said to Zhuang Fihong, "This man is the one who was surrounded and killed last night." "What?" Zhuang Fihong's eyes almost popped out. "No, it's impossible. This man looks so young. How could he have such powerful martial arts?" Su Qingni picked up one of the man's wrists and said, "It should be related to the martial arts he practiced." As she said that, she took the man's pulse. The man suffered severe internal and external injuries, which Su Qingni expected. She took the pulse mainly to explore the internal energy in the man's body, wanting to see what kind of internal energy made a person go crazy when his martial arts value became stronger. Su Qingni input a trace of her own internal energy into the man's body, and immediately that trace of internal energy was attacked by the man's internal energy. Su Qingni concentrated on investigating the duel between the two internal forces, and went deeper and deeper along the opponent's internal energy running route, and finally figured out the man's internal energy running route and practice method. This is a cultivation method with great side effects. Practicing this method can accumulate powerful internal energy in a very short period of time, improving the practitioner's martial arts value, but part of the internal energy cultivated will rush into the brain, affecting the practitioner's brain, causing their personality and temperament to change completely, becoming more and more irritable, and eventually completely losing their rationality and turning into a monster that only knows how to kill. The man in front of him still has rationality, and his brain has not been completely conquered. If his martial arts are abolished, this person can still recover to the state he was in before practicing this martial arts. Su Qingni pinched the wings of her nose and told Zhuang Fihong and Qiao Kui about this man's situation and asked, "What do you think? Should we destroy his kung fu?" Qiao Kui replied, "It's better to destroy such evil martial arts." Zhuang Fihong thought more. It seems that this man has a lot of enemies. Without martial arts, he won't even have the strength to fight back against his enemies, right? Qiao Kui said, "Aren't we here? We saved him, and we will naturally save him to the end and won't let anyone else hurt him." Zhuang Fihong, "It's impossible for us to be with him all the time." Qiao Kui, "Why not? Can't you let Madam keep him by her side as an attendant? This man is so handsome, it would be nice to keep him by her side and look at him more often." Zhuang Fiji looked down on Qiao Kui's face-chasing expression. "Let's not talk about whether the master is willing to take in one more person. Just look at this man. He doesn't look like he is willing to be inferior to others. How can he be willing to be our follower?" Qiao Kui heard this with a look of pity. "Then, let him keep his evil skills. One day he will become a madman who only knows how to kill. Would that kill many people?" Zhuang Fiji. There is no other way. If his martial arts are to be abolished, he will be the only one to die. Qiao Kui, why should he die? He can be hidden and not found by his enemies. Zhuang Fiji, impossible. His enemies should be very powerful, otherwise he would have been found hiding in a place like the town we passed by before. Qiao Kui, doesn't that mean this man is dead? Then why are we saving him? Qiao Kui's screams became louder. She didn't wake up the sleeping little bun, but woke up the unconscious man. The man opened his red eyes and stared fiercely at the two young men and women. If he hadn't been seriously injured and had no strength, he would have rushed forward immediately. His throat whimpered like a raging beast, frightening Qiao Kui to hide behind Zhuang Feiyu. You have no guts. Zhuang Feiyu looked down on Qiao Kui and looked at Su Qingni. Master, what should we do? What should we do? Of course, we should destroy this man's martial arts. This man has gone astray. If his martial arts are not destroyed, he will become a killing monster. Su Qingni stretched out her palm and pressed it on the man's danshan. She exhaled her internal energy and rushed into the man's danshan. The internal energy that Su Qingni cultivated was much higher in quality than that cultivated by people in this world. After entering the man's body, she immediately turned the tables and devoured all the internal energy in the man's body, assimilated it, and returned it to Su Qingni's body. Su Qingni's mind moved, and she did not take back all the internal energy, leaving a trace of internal energy in the man's danshan. The evil skills that the man practiced were destroyed, and his eyes became clear again. Then he rolled his eyes and fainted. Fizhou, you take care of this person. Su Qingni withdrew her hand. Yes, master, Zhuang Fizhou said hurriedly. Su Qingni said a string of medicine names and dosages, and Zhuang Fizhou hurriedly wrote them down. There were a lot of medicinal herbs on the carriage, all of which were picked by Su Qingni and Qiao Kui along the way. Zhuang Fizhou found the herbs he needed, put them in the jars that he usually used to make soup for Jian Zili to take a bath, and made medicine for the injured. Perhaps those who chased the man were killed by him, so after Su Qingni and his companions rescued the man, they did not encounter anyone who blocked the carriage and asked them questions. Chapter 435, Jianghu 11. After the man regained consciousness, he was stunned for a moment, and then he found that all the internal strength in his body had disappeared. Although he avoided becoming Feng Zibo, he now had no martial arts value. The man was shocked, and then a desperate expression filled his entire face. He broke the medicine bowl, picked up the sharpest piece and stabbed it towards his throat. Zhuang Fiji, who just walked in, saw it and stretched out his hand to stop the man. Let go, let me die. The man screamed. It's better to live than to die. Zhuang Fiji said, although you don't have martial arts, you don't have to become a madman. Isn't this good? If you are worried about those who are chasing you, we can help you get rid of them. The man laughed bitterly and said, I can't get rid of them. No matter where I hide, they will find me. Zhuang Fiji was curious, is their power really that great? What deep hatred do you have with those people that they must kill you? The man did not answer, and was silent as if he was autistic. No matter what Zhuang Fiji said to him, he did not respond, and even refused to eat food and medicine, and went on a hunger strike waiting to die. Since Zhuang Fizhen had saved the man, he would not let him die. Not taking medicine? Not eating? He simply pinched the man's chin and poured the medicine down his throat. When staying in the inn, he stayed in the same room with the man, and was determined not to let the man be alone to find a chance to commit suicide. The man was so helpless by Zhuang Fizhen's actions that he could not even complain about himself. All the despair he felt was gone by Zhuang Fizhen. He had no choice but to take the medicine and eat obediently. However, every time after drinking the medicine, the man always said, even if you saved me, I would not live long. Those people will not let me go. Zhuang Fizhen, what did you do? Are you the kind of evil person who killed the whole family? I didn't. The man shouted, although my temperament has changed drastically due to practicing evil skills, I will not do such a shameless thing. Apart from those who chased me, I killed very few people. The man said with a sad look on his face, I practiced evil skills to help him, but he said I was on the wrong path, deprived me of my identity, arrested me, locked me with iron chains, and didn't let me see outsiders. I haven't gone crazy because of practicing evil skills, but he almost drove me crazy. Who is he? Zhuang Fizhen asked curiously. The man rarely had the desire to confide, and he was no longer autistic like in the past few days. He answered Zhuang Fizhen's question very straightforwardly, my father. Your father? Zhuang Fizhen was surprised. Are you saying that those who chased you were sent by your father? The man nodded gloomily. Zhuang Fiji took a breath. What kind of father is this? He actually sent people to hunt down his own son. This son practiced evil skills to help him. Instead of being considerate of the child and trying to help the child get rid of the influence of the evil skills, he actually wanted to kill the child. It's simply. Even a tiger won't eat its own cubs. Is your father your biological father? Zhuang Fiji asked doubtfully. The man's face twisted. I also doubt whether I am his son. He treats me like this, but he is too good to another person, and even wants to give the position of prince to that person. I suspect that person is his biological son. Wait. Zhuang Fiji interrupted him hurriedly and looked at the man in horror. What did you say? Prince? Are you from the royal family? Although this world is dominated by the rivers and lakes, people in the rivers and lakes look down on people in the court, and will not have any intersection with people in the court. But the emperor is the emperor after all, and he is still awe-inspiring. Just like the emperor in Lu Xiafang's world, people from the martial arts world dare to run to the emperor's head to compete with swords and watch the competition, but the spectators still have to follow the royal rules. They can't enter the palace just because they want to. The man nodded. I was originally a prince. Zhuang Fiji took a breath and looked at the man carefully again. The man looked to be in his early 20s and handsome. Although he looked embarrassed, he was still noble. Are you really the prince? The man sighed. I was before, but not now. The current prince has been replaced by someone else. It should be Cheng Tangxiu. Zhuang Fiji didn't know who Cheng Tangxiu was. He was just curious about why the emperor chose a person with a different surname as the prince. As far as he knew, the royal family's surname was Bailey, not Cheng. Could it be that this Cheng Tangxiu is the emperor's son, as the man said? Do you have other brothers? The man shook his head. I have 2 sisters, but no brothers. Zhuang Fiji patted the man's shoulder and said sympathetically, it seems that Cheng Tangxiu is your brother. Otherwise, the emperor would not treat the man like this. If the man was his only son, how could the emperor easily give up this son and send people to hunt him down? Of course, he would choose this way because he had another son, and that son was more in his heart, right? The man's face was full of anger and sadness, and his eyes were full of hatred. Who did he hate? Of course, he hated Cheng Tangxiu, and the man also hated his father. Zhuang Fiji heard his experience from the man. The man's name was Bailey Peng, the only son of the current emperor, and he was made the prince at the age of 5. Bailey Peng had the best teacher found by the emperor to teach him, and he performed very well on weekdays. However, this kind of child has been smooth since childhood and has not experienced setbacks. If he encounters setbacks and meets someone better than him, Bailey Peng's heart will inevitably be unbalanced. Cheng Tangxiu is the person who made Bailey Peng unbalanced. Cheng Tangxiu is not a member of the imperial court, but a son of a family in the underworld. His family was wiped out just like the Jian family. Another group of forces coveted the Cheng family's martial arts and secretly poisoned and killed the Cheng family members. Cheng Tangxiu had a poor appetite that day and did not eat anything. He escaped without being poisoned. Then he practiced martial arts and went back to take revenge, killed his enemies, and revitalized his family business. In the process, Cheng Tangxiu gained a confidant and a higher reputation in the underworld than his elders, and achieved success in both love and career. The result was that on the eve of his marriage to his confidant, the confidant knew his identity and was the woman of Cheng Tangxiu's enemy. How should the two face this? The wedding could not continue, and the confidant left alone. Cheng Tangxiu locked himself in the room for 3 days and finally figured it out and decided to find the confidant. Then, Cheng Tangxiu rescued the emperor, who was on a tour incognito on the way to find someone. The emperor was very happy to know Cheng Tangxiu's origin and name, saying that Cheng Tangxiu is the son of his old friend, and treated Cheng Tangxiu very well, treating him like his own son. Cheng Tangxiu did not think much about it, just thinking that the emperor and his father were good brothers, so he treated him like a nephew. Chapter 436, Jianghu 12. The emperor treated Cheng Tangxiu as his own son. On the other hand, Bailey Peng, who also changed his clothes and went out of the palace to look for the emperor, met Cheng Tangxiu's confidant. The two walked together all the way, and Bailey Peng naturally fell in love with the confidant. As a result, the two met, the confidant talked to Cheng Tangxiu, and they naturally reconciled. Bailey Peng was heartbroken, and his father always said how good Cheng Tangxiu was, and he couldn't compare to Cheng Tangxiu. Can Bailey Peng tolerate it? Of course he couldn't tolerate it. He ran to Cheng Tangxiu for a competition. He couldn't compare with Cheng Tangxiu in literary talent, and he also lost in martial arts. This hit the prince, who was praised since he was a child and felt that he was excellent in both literature and martial arts, and Cheng Tangxiu became his knot. The prince was unbalanced and jealous of Cheng Tangxiu, so he couldn't help but lose his sense of proportion. He targeted Cheng Tangxiu openly and secretly, but was blocked by Cheng Tangxiu, which made Bailey Peng even more upset. If Cheng Tangxiu had succeeded in Bailey Peng's plan once, Bailey Peng might have stopped targeting Cheng Tangxiu. But because he failed every time, Bailey Peng was even more inferior to Cheng Tangxiu, and Bailey Peng could not stand it. He had evil thoughts in his heart and wanted to kill Cheng Tangxiu. Of course, this killing was not successful, but made the emperor disappointed in the prince and felt that the prince had become bad. The emperor had not yet thought of abolishing the prince. After all, the prince was his own son. He just complained to Cheng Tangxiu a few times, said a few words of disappointment in the prince, and said a few words that it would be better if Cheng Tangxiu was his son. It just so happened that Bailey Peng overheard their conversation. Bailey Peng hated Cheng Tangxiu even more. He was determined to kill Cheng Tangxiu, but his men had been warned by the emperor and would not help him deal with Cheng Tangxiu anymore, and Bailey Peng's martial arts were not as good as Cheng Tangxiu. So, Bailey Peng looked for martial arts in the library of the palace that could make him stronger in a short period of time and defeat Cheng Tangxiu. There are many martial arts collected in the palace, but none of them meet Bailey Peng's requirements. He was disappointed at first, but he found a secret compartment with a book of martial arts hidden in it. This martial arts has great side effects and is an evil martial arts. Although it is extremely powerful after practicing, the ancestors of the royal family do not allow the younger generations to practice this martial arts. Bailey Peng hesitated whether to practice this martial arts, and one thing made him decide. Bailey Peng's uncle failed to compete with the emperor for the throne 20 years ago and escaped from the capital. He practiced high skills and came back to seek revenge on the emperor 20 years later. He agreed to fight with the emperor to the death. Although the emperor also knows a little martial arts, it is just a show. How can he compete with the uncle? Bailey Peng proposed that he would come out to duel with the uncle on behalf of the emperor. Bailey Peng is naturally not the opponent of the uncle now. The emperor does not want him to go up and die, and he does not want the throne to be taken away by the uncle, so he wants to take Cheng Tangxiu as his adopted son and let him fight with the uncle on behalf of the royal family. Bailey Peng was so angry that he secretly practiced evil skills and went to the ring during the competition. He defeated the emperor's uncle with his evil skills, but he did not win the emperor's praise. Instead, the emperor was heartbroken because he practiced evil skills, locked him up, and abolished his position as the crown prince. Bailey Peng was locked in a secret room. Every day, except for the people who brought him food, he could not see anyone else. The loneliness and the sadness and resentment towards the emperor for treating him so badly made Bailey Peng almost crazy. And once the evil skills were practiced, they could not be stopped or abolished except Su Qingni. The evil skills affected Bailey Peng's brain, and he was only one line away from being completely crazy. Then, Bailey Peng escaped by violence. The emperor thought he was completely crazy and was afraid that he would harm the world and hurt more people, so he sent his elite men to hunt down Bailey Peng. At first, he was just chasing him, and he didn't want Bailey Peng's life. But Bailey Peng killed many of the emperor's men. The emperor felt that Bailey Peng was completely crazy and could not be saved, so he issued a kill order. Bailey Peng could sense the change in the people who were chasing him. In the past, those people had some reservations because of his identity, but now they have no taboos and want to take his life. He knew that his father had completely given up on him. Bailey Peng was so desperate. Now that you have been abolished of that evil skill, and you are no longer crazy, your father should not kill you, right? Zhuang Fihong said. Bailey Peng smiled bitterly. It's hard to say. What if he doesn't want me, the former crown prince, to live in order to make Cheng Tangxiu the crown prince? There are many ministers in the court who support me. They insist on orthodoxy and don't want an illegitimate son to be the crown prince. If I die, my father will only have one son, and those people will have no reason to object. Zhuang Fihong felt that Bailey Peng was really pitiful. He lost his position as the crown prince and was killed by his own father. If he did something wrong, it was just jealous of his rival and dealt with his rival. How could he end up being deserted by everyone? Zhuang Fihong ran to Su Qingni and told her about Bailey Peng. Su Qingni listened to a big drama and believed Bailey Peng's guess that Cheng Tangxiu was the emperor's illegitimate son, and maybe even the son of true love. The old friend mentioned by the emperor might not be Cheng Tangxiu's father, but Cheng Tangxiu's biological mother. Master, how can we help Bailey Peng? Zhuang Fei asked Su Qingni for advice. He sympathized with Bailey Peng and wanted to help this unlucky guy. Su Qingni chuckled and said, "Don't think that your master didn't see your thoughts." Zhuang Fei blushed. Well, master, it's nice to have someone older than me call me senior brother." Su Qingni snorted and said, "I won't accept him as my apprentice." Master. Zhuang Fei wanted to speak up to help Bailey Peng, but Su Qingni raised her hand slightly to stop him and said, "I can give him a set of exercises and let him practice on his own. It all depends on him how far he can practice. Then, the matter of the emperor sending people to hunt him down." Su Qingni said, "Go to the street and buy some things for me." Huh? Zhuang Fei didn't want to go out, as Bailey Peng's matter hadn't been resolved yet. However, as his master, Su Qingni gave an order, and Zhuang Fei had to take the shopping list given by the master and go to the street to buy things. What's on this list? Pigskin? Are you going to make pigskin jelly? And what are these powder, rouge, and pens for? Doesn't the master dislike makeup? Qiao Kui didn't wear makeup either. He bought what Su Qingni wanted with doubts all the way, and Su Qingni took him to Bailey Peng's room. Then, he saw with his own eyes the magical craftsmanship of his master, who turned Bailey Peng into another person. Amazing! Zhuang Fei exclaimed. "Madam, I want to learn this technique." Qiao Kui's eyes lit up. Chapter 437 Jianghu 13. The emperor's men were quite successful. Although the previous group of people who were chasing Bailey Peng were killed by Bailey Peng, the next group of people soon came after him. According to the clues, they caught up with Su Qingni and her group. Bailey Peng's injuries were half healed, and he was resting in the carriage. When he heard someone stop the carriage, he couldn't help but stiffen all over. He wanted to escape, but at this time he had no internal strength and it was inconvenient to move, so he couldn't escape at all. "Don't worry." Su Qingni said 2 words lightly. But these 2 words made Bailey Peng calm down. After seeing Su Qingni's power with his own eyes, Bailey Peng had great respect for this lady. Bailey Peng relaxed and pretended to be very sleepy and closed his eyes to rest. Those who were chasing Bailey Peng relied on their royal family and knew that Su Qingni and her group had no backing, so they ignored Qiao Kui's obstruction and lifted the curtain of the carriage without giving face. The carriage was not big, and there was no place for people to hide. The people sitting inside were clear at a glance. A woman and a child, they are definitely not the ones they are looking for. There is also a teenager, whose figure is not the one they are looking for. There is only one person left, whose figure matches the one they are looking for, but his age does not match. How can a consumptive man in his 30s be the prince? Excuse me. The people who were chasing Bailey Peng left after leaving the 3 people behind. After this confirmation, they will never come to find Su Qingni and her group again. Bailey Peng is completely free from trouble. After a while, Su Qingni gave him a martial arts method of the 9 yin manual. Bailey Peng began to practice hard. He is not Su Qingni's apprentice, but he follows Su Qingni wholeheartedly. Even though his martial arts skills are very high, he did not think of leaving, thinking of going back to take revenge and regain his identity. After following Su Qingni to many places and seeing many things in this world, Bailey Peng has let go. All the grudges and hatreds were thrown behind him. However, after Su Qingni found the extremely yin place, she still drove him away, and also drove away Zhuang Fei, who was ready to become a master. The 2 of them traveled the world together and left their legend. At that time, this was all for the future. Now, Bailey Peng has just started to practice the 9 yin manual. The emperor's people are still chasing Bailey Peng, but unfortunately they can't find him. The emperor finally called these people back and issued an order to make Cheng Tangxiu the crown prince. Because the legitimate crown prince was missing, others thought that Cheng Tangxiu was the emperor's illegitimate son, so they didn't object too much. However, Cheng Tangxiu himself disagreed. He naturally heard other people's speculation that he was the emperor's illegitimate son, but Cheng Tangxiu was sure that he was definitely not the emperor's son, because he looked at least 5 points like his biological father Cheng Fu, but not 1 point like the emperor. Cheng Tangxiu had seen a portrait of his mother in the emperor's study and knew that the emperor liked his mother. The emperor was only kind to him because he loved his wife and his family. He was kind to him because of his mother, even better than his own son. Cheng Tangxiu felt sorry for Bailey Peng's affairs, and even felt a little guilty about Bailey Peng. If it weren't for the emperor's unusual treatment of him, Bailey Peng wouldn't have practiced evil skills. If it were to be investigated, in fact, both the emperor and he would bear a lot of responsibility. Cheng Tangxiu had no ambition. He didn't want to be an emperor. He preferred the free and easy life in the rivers and lakes. He just wanted to go back to Changjiazhuang with his beloved, have children, and live an ordinary but not dull life. He really couldn't bear the emperor's kindness. So, at the ceremony of the emperor's canonization of the prince, Cheng Tangxiu didn't show up at all, but left with his sweetheart. Bailey Peng was stunned when he heard the news that Zhuang Fiji had inquired about, and then he slapped the table and laughed. He couldn't imagine what kind of expression his good father would have. Tisk tisk, it's a pity that he can't see it with his own eyes. Zhuang Fiyu blinked his eyes and said to Bailey Peng, I heard that the emperor fainted immediately. Don't you want to go back and visit him? Bailey Peng's smile faded, and he took a sip of the wine glass. In his heart, I am already dead. Why go back? Our father-son relationship has been cut off by him a long time ago. What about the throne? Do you really not want it? Zhuang Fiyu asked. Whoever wants it can take it. Bailey Peng snorted, the Jianghu is powerful, and the emperor can't control the Jianghu. What's the point of being the emperor? That's right, otherwise Cheng Tangxiu would not be the prince and go home to be the head of his Jianghu family. Zhuang Fiyu smiled. Hearing Cheng Tangxiu's name, Bailey Peng curled his lips and was a little unhappy. After all the things that happened, although Bailey Peng has become more open-minded, his jealousy and dissatisfaction with Cheng Tangxiu have not diminished at all. Cheng Tangxiu is a thorn in Bailey Peng's heart, and he can't get rid of it no matter what. Bailey Peng didn't want to talk about Cheng Tangxiu, so he changed the topic and discussed martial arts with Zhuang Fiyu. One of them practiced a 9-yang manual, and the other practiced a 9-yin manual. One was yin and the other was yang, but they had many similarities. After a conversation, both of them benefited a lot. Madam, there's a villa ahead. Let's go there to stay overnight. Qiao Kui asked Su Qingni expectantly. For several consecutive days, the group had been resting in the wilderness. Finally, they met a family. Qiao Kui was eager to stay there, sleep in a warm bed, and wash up. Su Qingni nodded. She didn't care, but she had to worry about the children. Qiao Kui was so happy that she raised the whip and let the horse run faster. Soon they arrived at the gate of the villa. Only the forces in the rivers and lakes could build a villa in the wilderness. The doormen all had martial arts skills. For the visitors, the doormen looked at everyone very cautiously. After confirming that there was no threat, they agreed to let the group stay overnight. However, they could only stay in the outermost courtyard of the villa, and could not enter the villa, let alone meet the owner of the villa. This was because Su Qingni and Zhuang Fiyu did not reveal their names in the world. If they did, the people in the villa would not treat them as ordinary passers-by, but would definitely welcome them as distinguished guests. This courtyard is specially for receiving outsiders who have no status to stay overnight. The layout is very simple, but the beds and quilts are very clean. Although the food is not rich, it is good to have vegetables and meat. Su Qingni and others did not think that the owner of the villa neglected them. They thought that the owner of the villa was not bad. Not every owner can be like this to people who come to stay and eat white rice. After dinner, they took a hot bath happily, climbed into bed early, and closed their eyes comfortably. Chapter 438 Jianghu 14. It was a very deep and quiet night, so quiet that you couldn't hear the chirping of insects or the barking of dogs. This was very abnormal. It was so abnormal that Su Qingni woke up from her sleep and suddenly opened her eyes. There was no moon tonight, and the room was very dark, but it couldn't block Su Qingni's sight. She could still see things clearly in the dark. Su Qingni sighed when she saw the child sleeping soundly beside her. Originally, she wanted to let the child have a good sleep in the bed, but she didn't know that plans couldn't keep up with changes. Su Qingni picked up the child, patted him gently, put him back on the bed, and covered him with a quilt. Qiao Kui also slept in this room, on another bed. Su Qingni walked up and patted the girl awake. The two people in the other room didn't need Su Qingni to call. Although Bailey Peng had lost his previous martial arts, he was still alert to being chased for thousands of miles, and Zhuang Fei's experience since childhood also made him more alert than ordinary people, at least better than the guards in the villa. Both of them felt the murderous intent brought by the night wind. When Su Qingni woke up Qiao Kui, she heard the movement in another room. After a while, Zhuang Fizhu and Bailey Peng knocked on the door outside Su Qingni's room. Although Qiao Kui was awakened, she was still dazed and yawned as she opened the door for the two. The two rushed into the room and immediately closed the door. Qiao Kui's eyes were slightly accustomed to the darkness. She wanted to take out the tinder to light the candle, but was stopped by Zhuang Fizhu. "Don't light the candle," Zhuang Fizhu whispered. "This villa is not safe." Bailey Peng also said, "There is something wrong with this villa." Su Qingni replied to the two, "It's not a villa that has problems, but someone outside the villa has brought danger." Zhuang Fizhu and Bailey Peng heard what was going on and their faces changed. "Do you want to help the people in the villa?" Bailey Peng asked. Zhuang Fizhu shook his head and said, "I don't know who is right or wrong, so it's better not to intervene rashly. What if the people who came to attack were here for revenge? What if the people in this villa looked glamorous on the surface, but were actually villains with countless blood on their hands? Just like Wang Xianji, the sworn brother protected by Tai Chuanjia in the Sentimental Swordsman and one of the 8 righteous men of the Central Plains. Wang Xianji loves to make friends. As long as a friend comes to him, he almost always responds to his requests, so he became the leader of the 8 righteous men of the Central Plains. But in fact, in order to maintain his glamorous appearance, Wang Xianji secretly did business without capital, killed many people and robbed their property. This led to the relatives of those who were killed uniting to bloodbath Wang Jiazhuang and kill Wang Xianji. Bailey Peng said, "But we are inside the villa now. Those who attacked the villa thought we were inside the villa. What should we do?" Zhuang Fizhu, "Don't we have the master?" He looked at Su Qingni with trust. "The master will definitely have a way, right?" Su Qingni snorted, "I gave you the formation book 2 days ago. Have you read it?" "I have read it." Zhuang Fizhu nodded like pounding garlic. "Su Qingni, do you still need me to do it?" Zhuang Fizhu said with a chuckle, "Well, I am afraid that my skills are not enough and the formation I set up will not be effective." "Su Qingni, just do it, I will help you find out the gaps behind." "Okay." Zhuang Fizhu was full of energy when he heard this, and pulled Bailey Peng out of the door. He did not go far, but just made some arrangements at the door and under the window of this room. Bailey Peng followed behind Zhuang Fizhu, and was told to do things by him, helping Zhuang Fizhu. He didn't know what Zhuang Fei's intention was in moving stones and flower pots like this, and his face was full of confusion. But when Zhuang Fei put down the last stone, Bailey Peng was shocked to see that the room where Su Qingni and the others were staying disappeared from his sight. The space between the 2 adjacent rooms was no longer a house, but a partition full of stones and wood. However, due to the relationship between wood and stone, the partition could not be passed through. This. Bailey Peng was speechless. This is an illusion array, which can only confuse the sight of outsiders and has no other function. Zhuang Fei said and pulled Bailey Peng forward. Bailey Peng was about to hide a pile of wood in the last second, and the next second, he had appeared in Su Qingni's room. Qiao Kui was very clever and poured a cup of herbal tea for Bailey Peng to calm him down. "Is this the formation? It's amazing." Bailey Peng drank the herbal tea in the cup in one gulp, suppressed his surprise, and his eyes became bright. "Madam, can I learn the formation?" Su Qingni didn't care, anyone who wanted to learn could. She nodded, "The formation book is with Fiayu." Bailey Peng immediately looked at Zhuang Fiayu. Zhuang Fiayu took out the formation book from his arms and threw it to Bailey Peng. "You read it first, and then we will study it together." As he spoke, the murderous intent was getting closer, and the people with murderous intent had entered the villa. Screams were heard in the villa, which was the last sound before the death of the person. Su Qingni frowned slightly. Zhuang Fiayu noticed it and whispered, "Master, do you want to save people?" As far as he was concerned, he was unwilling to help if it did not concern him, but his master was kind-hearted and wanted to save people, so he would save them. Su Qingni was not a saint, and would not help any party without understanding the right and wrong and the grudges. But just like the servants of the Jian family were innocent, there must be innocent people among the servants of this villa. Look at the attitude of the people in the villa towards these passers-by. You don't seem to be a bad person. Su Qingni ordered, "Go and check the situation, help if you can. Don't confront the people who attacked the villa head-on. Bailey Peng, you and Qiao Kui stay and take care of Xiaolei. Fei Chu, you come out with me." I'll go too." Bailey Peng's face was full of the desire to go. Su Qingni cruelly refused. You just practiced the 9 yin manual, and you can't beat Qiao Kui, how can you go? Bailey Peng. Frustrated. He somewhat missed his high martial arts value. Su Qingni and Zhuang Feichu walked out of the room. For the safety of the little Bun Jianzili, Su Qingni put another layer of formation on the formation arranged by Zhuang Feichu to ensure that the killers would never enter the room, even if they discovered Zhuang Feichu's formation. The two concealed their bodies and secretly observed those who entered the villa to kill people. I don't know if these people are really good, or if they are afraid that killing the servants of the villa will delay time and thus alarm the owner of the villa. After only hacking and killing a few servants who looked like guards, these killers in black clothes left the people in the front yard and went to the inner yard. 2 people followed into the inner yard and found that the owner of the villa had been alarmed and had stood up to fight with the men in black. There were quite a few men in black, and the owner of the villa could only fight a quarter of the number of men in black. Each person was somewhat outmatched against 4 men in black. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 439, Jianghu 15. Su Qingni stared at the men in black. Now, she couldn't judge whether the people in the villa were good or bad, but she could conclude that these men in black were definitely not good. She recognized that these men in black were very similar to the men in black who chased Jian Boyu. They should be in the same group. At that time, Jian Boyu and Jian Boyu killed the young lady's men and found that her men were not on the same group as the men in black who chased Jian Boyu. At that time, Mu Qiansong helped Jian Boyu track down these men in black, but there was no clue. The men in black never appeared again, so the 2 of them put the matter aside. Su Qingni didn't expect to meet these men in black. Since these men in black were former enemies, of course they would help the people in the villa. Help! Su Qingni called on her little apprentice to jump out together. People on both sides were startled. The people in the villa were surprised at first and then happy. The 2 who came out were to help them. They looked very powerful. When did their own villa entertain 2 such masters? Although the men in black were also startled, they quickly regained their composure and sent people to attack Su Qingni and Zhuang Feiyi. Su Qingni went to meet the attackers, but she didn't notice that one of the men in black paused for a moment after seeing her appearance, and was almost stabbed in the chest by the owner of the villa. The man turned over, withdrew from the fighting circle, and looked at Su Qingni with complicated eyes. Su Qingni didn't receive this look. She was frowning and trying to rescue the men in black who originally attacked her. Su Qingni wanted to find out from these men in black why they were chasing Jian Boyu, so she just pressed the acupoints of the men in black, wanting to keep them alive for interrogation. Who knew that these men in black actually bit the poison sac in their mouths and committed suicide? Su Qingni wanted to rescue them, but the poison was very strong and killed them as soon as they entered the mouth. Before Su Qingni took out the silver needle, these men in black had been poisoned to death. Su Qingni. Su Qingni looked at the other men in black. At this moment, the black-clad man who was looking at Su Qingni suddenly raised his body and used King Guang to escape. The other black-clad men were all stunned when they saw his action, and then they all chased the first person and retreated. Su Qingni hurriedly chased after him. Just as she caught up with one person, the person turned around and hugged Su Qingni, stopping her movement and biting the poison sac in his mouth. Although this person was dead, her hands and feet were wrapped around Su Qingni's body, and Su Qingni couldn't pull her off her body for a while. When Su Qingni pulled the person off, the other black-clad men had already fled far away. Su Qingni had no choice but to walk to the dead black-clad man and pull open the mask. It was indeed a woman, and this face, how come it didn't feel strange? Su Qingni searched the original owner's memory and finally found the same face from a small corner. The original owner had seen this woman, but only once. The reason why she remembered the woman's appearance so clearly was because this woman was with the original owner's husband Jian Baheng at the time, and the action looked very intimate. The original owner was jealous of this. However, neither Jian Baheng nor the woman found that the original owner had seen them. The original owner was also worried that if he questioned Jian Baheng about the woman, Jian Baheng would say something that would make the original owner sad. Therefore, the original owner did not ask Jian Baheng about the woman and kept it in his heart. Then soon, the Jian family suffered a disaster. The woman was the man in black. So, Would the Jian family be in trouble not only because of Jian Borao, but also because of Jian Bahan? Did Jian Bahan die? If not, where would he be? Su Qingni now had a lot of questions, but unfortunately the woman was dead and could not answer her questions. She cast her eyes into the dark distance. Could those men in black answer her questions? With a sigh, Su Qingni turned back. The owner of the villa had already pulled Zhuang Fiji to say words of gratitude. This time the villa was attacked by surprise, and some people died, and the owner's family also suffered casualties. But fortunately, Su Qingni and Zhuang Fiji took action, and the number of deaths was less than 1/5 of the total number of people in the villa, which was very lucky. Otherwise, without Su Qingni and Zhuang Fiji, the villa would have suffered heavy casualties or even been wiped out. After leaving the owner of the villa to her apprentice, Su Qingni returned to the room of Jian Zilai and the other two. After untying the formation, Su Qingni walked into the room and sent Qiao Kui and Bailey Peng to bed. Su Qingni sat on the bed, staring at the sleeping little bun, and various pictures flashed through her mind like a revolving lantern. She wanted to find something useful from these pictures, but unfortunately, her original body was an ordinary woman. Although her family also practiced martial arts, the elders valued boys over girls. She could not learn martial arts and naturally could not venture into the world. She learned some women's work and other things in her backyard all day long. After getting married, she also stayed at home to take care of her husband and children. Her range of activities was an acre and 3-point land near the Jian family. The memories in her mind were really not of much help to Su Qingni. Alice. Su Qingni sighed for a long time. She felt troubled. The next day, the owner of the villa warmly entertained Su Qingni and others. Su Qingni was not in the mood to deal with people, but she wanted to ask the owner about the black-clothed man, so she showed up at the banquet. After a round of drinking, Su Qingni asked the owner about the black-clothed man. Master Liu, do you know which force came to attack the villa yesterday? The owner of the villa shook his head. These people are all in black clothes and masks. I can't tell where they come from. However, their behavior of committing suicide when they are caught is very similar to the way killer organizations control their killers. Does Master Liu have any enemies? Enemies who want to kill your whole family? Su Qingni asked again. Manor Master Liu frowned. I am in the underworld, so of course I have enemies, but I have never met an enemy who would wipe out my entire Liu family over a disagreement. Yes, there is one. The eldest daughter of the Liu family suddenly shouted, Dad, have you forgotten? That witch named Zhao. Didn't she say it? She wants Big Brother to regret, to live a life worse than death, and to make our whole family die a miserable death. Manor Master Liu was surprised and said, It's possible, right? That was just the angry shouting of the woman named Zhao? It's impossible to put it into action, right? Why is it impossible? The eldest daughter of the Liu family said, if a woman cannot get the love she wants, she can become very crazy. She hates us for stopping her and Big Brother from being together, and hates that Big Brother chose his family instead of her. So she found a killer to kill us, leaving Big Brother alone to make him regret it. Didn't you notice? Those people were very ruthless to us last night, wanting to take our lives, but they showed mercy to Big Brother and didn't hurt him. Chapter 440 Jianghu 16. Last night, those people were very ruthless and wanted to kill us, but they showed mercy to my eldest brother and didn't hurt him. After hearing what the eldest lady of the Liu family said, everyone thought about it and realized that it was true. Everyone looked at the eldest young master of the Liu family, who was sitting next to the owner of Liu Manor. The eldest young master of the Liu family was in pain at this time. The wineglass in his hand had fallen on the table. He held his head with both hands and said in a sad voice, It's all my fault. I provoked such a person. I almost implicated everyone in the villa. The wife of the owner of the villa softened her heart and wanted to speak to comfort her son, but she heard her husband snort coldly. The wife of the owner of the villa shrank back and dared not speak. The owner of the Liu family said, Since you know you were wrong, you must correct your mistakes in time. You should know where that woman is. You can deal with her yourself. Father. The eldest young master of the Liu family cried pleadingly. Liu Huangzi said coldly, What? You still can't bear to part with that woman? Do you want to watch that woman find assassins to kill your father, mother, brother and sister? Young Master Liu cried in pain. Liu Huangzi stared at him coldly, and the eldest lady of the Liu family also stared at young Master Liu with a cold expression. The other Liu family members were either disapproving, angry, or disappointed. Anyway, no one sympathized with young Master Liu and stood on his side. Young Master Liu was even more painful when he saw the performance of his relatives. Liu Huangzi was very disappointed with his son. He did not force his son anymore. He had given up on him in his heart. Liu Huangzi looked at the eldest lady of the Liu family. The character of the eldest lady of the Liu family was the opposite of the indecisive young master of the Liu family. She was the most decisive and resolute. Her martial arts were even 1 or 2 points higher than that of the young master of the Liu family. If she were not a girl, Liu Huangzi would have wanted her to take over the position of the owner of the manor. The eldest lady of the Liu family immediately said, "My daughter will kill that bitch." Liu Huangzi nodded and was very satisfied with his daughter. The eldest young master of the Liu family groaned and spat out a mouthful of blood. Liu Jiazhuang just waved his hand and asked the servants to help the eldest young master of the Liu family leave the banquet hall. Su Qingni and the others ignored the reaction of the eldest young master of the Liu family, but they all despised him in their hearts. What kind of vision does this person have? She actually fell in love with a vicious woman. Her family opposed her being with her lover, but she wanted to kill her whole family. The eldest young master of the Liu family still cares about such a vicious woman and is reluctant to hurt her. Does he think he is a love saint? Su Qingni said to the eldest daughter of the Liu family, "Miss Liu, can I go with you? I want to meet the woman who hired the killer." The eldest daughter of the Liu family asked in confusion, "Does Madame Su know that woman?" Su Qingni shook her head, "I don't know this person, I just want to know about those black-clad killers through her. My brother-in-law was once hunted by these black-clad killers." The eldest daughter of the Liu family understood that Su Qingni wanted the black-clad killer organization to investigate the inside story of her brother-in-law being hunted. The eldest daughter of the Liu family nodded generously, "Okay, let's set off early tomorrow morning, okay?" Su Qingni nodded in agreement. The next morning, before dawn, the eldest daughter of the Liu family came to find Su Qingni. After breakfast, the group set off. Although Liu Jiazhuang was caught off guard by the murder, it was powerful enough to find out where a person was. However, within 1 day, the whereabouts of young Master Liu's lover were found. It was in a city not far from Liu Jiazhuang. It took Miss Liu and Su Qingni and their group only half a day to arrive at a place where the woman was. The woman was still waiting for news from the killer organization. The woman was very beautiful and looked weak, not at all like a vicious woman who hired someone to kill an entire family. No wonder young Master Liu was obsessed with a woman. He knew that the woman wanted to kill his relatives, but he was still unwilling to kill the woman. Such a pretty appearance is very attractive to men and makes men pity her. However, Miss Liu looked down on women with such appearance. She kicked open the door of the woman's residence and walked in front of the woman. The woman was startled at first, then burst into tears, and said innocently and sadly, "Miss, why are you here? Where is your brother? Is he here? Is he still thinking about me?" Miss Liu wanted to vomit. Why is this woman so disgusting? Don't pretend, Bai Xiaolian. Seeing that I'm alive and well, you must be very upset, right? You didn't kill anyone from our family when you hired someone to kill someone. Are you going crazy? Miss Liu said coldly, "You're going to kill our whole family. How could my eldest brother still think about such a vicious woman like you?" I don't know what you're talking about. Bai Xiaolian cried, looking as pitiful and innocent as she could be. Miss Liu snorted coldly, "It doesn't matter if you don't admit it. Anyway, we have already determined that you hired someone to kill someone. It's better to kill someone by mistake than to let him go." Hearing what Miss Liu said, and watching Miss Liu draw out her sword, Bai Xiaolian knew that she couldn't escape this time. She stopped pretending, snorted, held back her tears, and her expression was cold and vicious. "What kind of killer organization took so much money from me, but didn't kill all of you Liu family members?" "It's you," Miss Liu said in surprise. Although she had always been sure that Bai Xiaolian hired someone to kill someone, it was just her guess. Could she be wrong? Now that Bai Xiaolian had confirmed it herself, Miss Liu was in a state of panic. She cursed young Master Liu in her heart, saying, "What kind of vision did he have to fall for such a carnivorous flower? I didn't wrongly accuse you. Just be punctual." Miss Liu raised her sword and swung it at Bai Xiaolian. Su Qingni quickly blocked Miss Liu's attack. "Miss Liu, we still have something to ask Miss Bai." Miss Liu then remembered that Su Qingni wanted to investigate the assassin organization. She apologized to Su Qingni, put away her sword and stood aside. Bai Xiaolian did not regard Su Qingni as her savior just because she stopped Miss Liu. She snorted coldly and said, "No matter why you want to, I won't answer." The woman in front of her only wanted to know something and temporarily stopped Miss Liu, not to let Miss Liu give up killing Bai Xiaolian. Anyway, whether she answered or not, she would die. Why should she satisfy the person in front of her and answer her questions? Su Qingni saw through it. Bai Xiaolian's character is the exact opposite of her appearance. She is very determined. No one can change her mind or persuade her when she makes a decision. Su Qingni was too lazy to ask the question herself, so she called Bai Peng forward and said, "Didn't you practice the soul transfer technique in the 9 Yin manual? This person can let you experiment with the power of the soul transfer technique." Chapter 441 Jianghu 17. The 9 Yin manual that Bai Peng practiced was not the 9 Yin manual created by Wang Shuang, but a method that Su Dashan got from Pingxin Niangniang, who read the novel The Legend of the Condor Heroes and made up a method based on the effects described in the novel. Because it was created by gods, its power is even greater than Wang Shuang's version of the 9 Yin manual. Even if Bai Xiaolian was determined, she was still fascinated by Bai Peng's soul transfer method and told everything she knew. The reason why Bai Xiaolian knew about this killer organization was that she was actually a member of the killer organization, but her martial arts skills were not high, and the tasks she was engaged in were different from those of the men in black. The killer organization was called Kong and was established 20 years ago, but for many years before, it was accumulating strength and training qualified killers. It was only in the past 2 years that it began to accept tasks and engage in the business of killing. Bai Xiaolian didn't know who the head of the organization was and what his background was, but she had met the leader once. He was a kind-looking man, no more than 50 years old, and looked very upright and chivalrous, but no one knew why he established a killer organization. The so-called one should not judge a person by his appearance refers to their leader. Of course, Bai Xiaolian is also such a person, and many people in the organization are like this. This is because the leader deliberately cultivated them to have a double image, so that it is more convenient for the killers to complete the task, and they will not be suspected by others after killing the target. Su Qingni asked Bai Peng to ask her question, "Has the Kong organization ever participated in the extermination of the Jian family?" Bai Xiaolian's answer was no. Su Qingni frowned and asked Bai Peng to continue asking, "Why did the Kong organization chase Jian Boyu?" Bai Xiaolian couldn't answer, she didn't even know who Jian Boy was. What about Jian Boy and Bai Xiaolian didn't know either. If you can't get any information from Bai Xiaolian, you can only go to their leader. Su Qingni asked Bai Peng to find out the contact information of the killer organization and handed Bai Xiaolian to Miss Liu. Miss Liu killed Bai Xiaolian without any hesitation. Su Qingni didn't sympathize with Bai Xiaolian at all. Not to mention that she wanted to kill the Liu family because she couldn't get the love she wanted. As a killer, she must have killed a lot of people before. Death is her best destination. The eldest lady of the Liu family dealt with Bai Xiaolian and said goodbye to Su Qingni. Liu Jiazhuang experienced the attack that night, and there are many follow-ups to deal with. The owner of Liuzhuang has given up his eldest son, and the second son is still young, so the eldest lady of the Liu family has become his most useful helper now. Su Qingni wants to investigate the killer organization, and it is a bit dangerous to bring Jian Zili. She brought a group of people to the territory of Lingshu Pavilion, handed over Jian Zilian, and asked her to cover her little brother. Jian Zili is still young and not a man. After asking for the consent of his master, Jian Zilian took Jian Zili into the inner gate territory of Lingshu Pavilion, and Qiao Kui followed to take care of Jian Zili. Su Qingni originally wanted to arrange Zhuang Fei and Bai Peng to stay, but both of them were unwilling, and they all wanted to follow Su Qingni to deal with the killer organization. Both of them are young and like excitement. How could they let go of such an opportunity? And the two of them boasted that they still have some self-protection ability. Su Qingni agreed to let them follow. As they said, both of them have the ability to protect themselves. Zhuang Fei need not be mentioned. Although Bai Peng has been practicing again after his martial arts was abandoned, it has only been half a year. However, although Su Qingni broke up his previous internal force, these internal forces did not completely disappear. Some of them were scattered in the muscles of the body. Secondly, Su Qingni left a trace of her own internal force in Bai Peng's danshan. When Su Qingni was recultivating, She used this trace of internal force as a guide and quickly cultivated the internal force of the 9 yin manual, and gathered the original internal force back to the Danshan and transformed it into the 9 yin internal force. In addition, with the occasional guidance of the great god Su Qingni, Bailey Peng's internal force naturally increased rapidly without side effects. However, in half a year, he has already possessed a quarter of his strength before his martial arts was abandoned. Don't underestimate this quarter. Before Bailey Peng's martial arts was abandoned, he was a top-notch master in the world, which shows that his martial arts skills are profound. Now this quarter can also make him a second-rate master in the world, and he is still a top-ranking second-rate master. With the help of the young apprentice in Bailey Peng, it is more efficient to track down the killer organization. Although this killer organization has been established for 10 years, it is a newcomer compared to other old forces, and its foundation in the world is not deep. The 3 people specifically investigated them, and with the information provided by Bai Xiaolian, it didn't take too long for them to find the location of the killer organization's lair. The 3 people sneaked into the lair, but they didn't expect to see a good show. A black-clothed masked killer attacked the leader of the killer organization and seriously injured him. You actually attacked me. The leader didn't expect to be attacked by his trusted men, and his face was full of disbelief. The men sneered, "If I don't attack you, how can I kill you? You actually want to kill me? I'm your uncle. You ungrateful wolf. I taught you martial arts and helped you to get revenge, and you treat me like this?" The leader asked indignantly. The subordinate snorted coldly, "You taught me martial arts because you want me to be a killer and become the knife in your hand. As for revenge..." The subordinate's face was covered with a mask and his expression could not be seen, but his voice could be heard to be full of grief and hatred. "My enemy, isn't it you? What are you talking about?" The leader screamed, but his voice was full of guilt. Su Qingni frowned as she listened to the conversation between the two. The voice of the subordinate sounded familiar to her, and the figure of the subordinate was also familiar to her. This was her, no, someone the original owner knew. But was it really that person? How could that person become a killer? That person should have practiced family martial arts, so how could he have been taught by the leader of the killer organization himself? But this voice, this figure. Are there 2 people in the world who look so similar? Su Qingni stared at the killer mask, wanting to tear it off and see the man's true face clearly. The conversation in the room continued. The subordinate could hear the guilt in the leader's words, and he sneered, "You killed your brother and sister-in-law for this peerless martial arts secret. Because Jian's Hangai arrived in time and saw you killing someone, you snatched the upper half of the secret and escaped. After Jian's Hangai took care of my parents' funeral, he adopted me when I was still a baby." The subordinate had a lot of things in his mind, but he couldn't find anyone to listen to him. He was sure that the killer leader would not survive, so he poured out everything in his mind. Chapter 442, Jianghu 18. That person spoke all the words that were in his heart to the dying leader of the assassin organization. The leader was about to die, and after his death, these words would become secrets again. But that person didn't know that outside the house, someone was listening to him, Bailey Peng and Zhuang Feis, who were sent to investigate other places in the old nest. Hearing the name Jian's Hangai, Su Qingni had already determined who the masked man was. Jian's Hangai was the name of the original owner's father-in-law, the son of the original owner, and besides the brother-in-law Jian Boyu, the only other son was the original owner's husband Jian Boyang. The masked man said, "I was adopted by my parents when I was still a baby. I thought I was their biological son until you found me. You finished practicing the first volume of the technique, but couldn't continue without the second volume, so you set your sights on me. You lied to me and said that the person who killed my parents was Jian's Hangai, and that he did that despicable thing to steal our family's technique. Because you are my uncle by blood, I believed you and regarded Jian's Hangai as the enemy who killed my father. On the surface, I pretended to be their good son and married and had children under their arrangement, but in fact I wanted to kill Jian's Hangai, and I hated the wife that Jian's Hangai arranged for me even more." Su Qingni narrowed her eyes and felt sorry for the original owner. Since the original owner married Jian Baheng, she has always been a good wife and mother. She was filial to Jian Baheng's parents and gave birth to children for him. Unexpectedly, Jian Baheng had such an attitude in his heart. Maybe the original owner felt it? Otherwise, the original owner's remaining wish was only 2 children, but no husband. Su Qingni initially thought that it was because she had taken over the original body, and the original body did not want her to use her body to get close to her husband. The masked man opened up completely, pouring out all his inner thoughts. You asked me to steal the lower part of the technique from the Jian family, saying that you were teaching me martial arts, but in fact, you modified what I was taught. If I continue to practice, sooner or later there will be problems. How do you know that there is a problem with the technique I taught you? The leader interrupted and asked. The masked man sneered, what do you think? The leader said hatefully, it was that bitch Qin Yulan. The masked man mocked, sisters love to be handsome, and love young handsome men. Although you are not bad looking, you are not young anymore. I didn't hook up with that woman Qin Yulan, but she took the initiative to hook up with me, so I took the opportunity to ask her to help me steal the first half of the skills. As for the second half, I had already copied a copy before giving it to you. The leader couldn't help but laugh when he heard it. Of course it was not a happy laugh. You are worthy of being my nephew, as cold and calculating as I am. The masked man said angrily, don't compare me with you, I'm not like you, who even kills your own brothers. The leader said sarcastically, didn't you send people to hunt down your good brother? The masked man argued, that's because I thought he was the son of the enemy who killed my father. The leader replied with a chuckle, you know why. Hearing this, Su Qingni understood everything. The leader of the assassin organization killed his brother and sister-in-law for peerless martial arts and took away half of the martial arts secrets. Jian's Hengai adopted Jian Baheng, who was still in his infancy. Because the martial arts could not be practiced with only the lower half, he did not give the lower half of the martial arts to Jian Baheng, nor did he tell him what happened between his biological parents and his biological uncle. Jian Baheng always thought that he was Jian's Hengai's biological son. As a result, the assassin organization found Jian Baheng in order to get the lower half of the martial arts, and turned black and white and said that Jian's Hengai was the enemy who killed Jian Baheng's father. It may be because the Jian family parents prefer the younger son. After all, he is the biological son. In the memory of the original body, Su Qingni can see that the attitude of the Jian family parents towards the two sons is different, and they love the younger son more. Jian Baheng felt this difference, and was jealous of Jian Boyu in his heart. He believed the words of the leader of the assassin organization and regarded Jian's Hengai as the enemy who killed his father. The reason why he pretended to be a filial son in front of Jian's Hengai was to find the lower half of the martial arts that Jian's Hengai didn't know where to hide. In order to gain more trust from Jian Baheng, the leader taught Jian Baheng the first half of the martial arts, but he made some changes to the martial arts. If Jian Baheng continued to practice, problems would arise sooner or later. At first, Jian Baheng did not doubt the leader, and was even happy because the martial arts taught by the leader were more powerful than the Jian family's family kung fu, and he trusted the leader more. Later, he got the lower part of the martial arts, and copied a study by himself, and then found that there were many contradictions between the martial arts he practiced and the martial arts in the lower part, which made him suspicious. It happened that the leader's lover seduced Jian Baheng, and Jian Baheng took advantage of the situation and asked the lover to help him steal the upper part of the martial arts, so that he knew that the leader was lying to him. He originally planned to let the people of the killer organization follow him to kill the Jian family to avenge his biological parents. Of course, sons and daughters cannot be killed. Although the two were born to women that Jian Baheng did not like, they were his own flesh and blood after all. The original owner saw Jian Baheng talking intimately with a woman. It was Jian Baheng who discussed the plan to deal with the Jian family with the leader's lover Qin Yulan. However, before the plan was implemented, the Jian family suffered a disaster first. The peach blossom disaster caused by Jian Borao killed Jian's Hengai and his wife. Jian Baheng was not at the Jian family at the time. When he heard the news of the Jian family's accident, he had only one thought, God's will. He thought his wife and son died in this family extermination incident. He did not cherish his wife, but his own son died, and Jian Baheng would not agree. Therefore, he was angry with Jian Borao and Jian Boyu, and coupled with his original jealousy of Jian Boyu, he sent a killer to kill Jian Boyu. Fortunately, Su Qingni came to this world and saved Jian Boyu in time, otherwise the incense inheritance of the Jian family would be cut off. Poor Jian's Hengai kindly saved his friend's son and helped his friend raise the child, but his kindness did not get a good reward. Not only did he die, but he almost had no children and grandchildren. Later, Jian Baheng used Qin Yulan to get information from the leader, and finally restored the truth through scattered clues. He knew that he had wrongly blamed the good people, regarded the real murderer as a relative, and regarded the relatives who raised him as an enemy. Jian Baheng killed the leader this time to avenge his biological parents, and also to relieve the hatred for his adoptive parents. However, he never thought about whether his adoptive parents would be relieved because of his behavior. If you want others to be relieved, you should teach yourself a lesson first, right? His behavior can be called an ungrateful person, and he almost killed his adoptive parents' biological son. The leader swallowed his last breath unwillingly. Su Qingni walked out from the dark and pushed the door into the room. Chapter 443 Jianghu 19. The door was pushed open, and the living person inside was startled. He turned around and attacked the person who came in. Su Qingni easily dodged the man's attack, exposing her face in the candlelight. The man saw Su Qingni's face clearly in the light, and was horrified, but stopped attacking. "It's you." Su Qingni looked at the man and said, "You don't seem surprised that I'm still alive. Have you seen me before? When you attacked Liu Ji as Herwang?" Jian Baheng stared at Su Qingni with a complicated expression. "I didn't expect you to be so smart and have extraordinary martial arts qualifications. You actually learned advanced martial arts in just 2 or 3 years. That's because you never understood me," Su Qingni said lightly. Jian Baheng acquiesced. Indeed, he had never regarded the original owner as his wife in his heart, and he would not spend time to understand his wife. Now seeing Su Qingni, he felt a little regretful. "Is Xiaolei also alive?" Jian Baheng asked. Since Su Qingni didn't die, then given how much she loved her son and daughter, she must have protected her son well and didn't die in the massacre. Su Qingni snorted and said, "He is still alive, but his father is dead." "I'm still alive," Jian Baheng growled. Su Qingni said coldly, "No, Jian Baheng is dead, with Jian Zhangyi and his wife. You are not Jian Baheng, and you don't deserve to be the son of the Jian family." Jian Baheng was silent. He felt guilty about the Jian family. Su Qingni continued, "Jian Borao and Jian Bo must also hope that their eldest brother is dead, and don't want an eldest brother who always hates their family and plots against them." Jian Baheng. Su Qingni's words pierced his heart, but damn it, he had to admit that Su Qingni was right. Now, he didn't have the courage to stand up and face Jian Bo and Jian Borao, especially since he had sent people to hunt down Jian Bo. If those two knew what he had done, they would definitely not recognize him as their father. Su Qingni continued, "Xiaolei's name is Jian Zilei. He is a child of the Jian family, and so is Xiaolian." She stared at Jian Baheng. "You killed the leader of the killer organization, and the killer organization fell into your hands. I hope you can do things with some principles, and don't take any business for money. Accumulate some blessings for your son and daughter, and don't let them be dragged down by having you as a father. Of course, you can also completely ignore these 2 children. After all, you are still young and can remarry and have children. Oh, by the way, hurry up and write a divorce letter." Needless to say, the expression on Jian Baheng's face. After a long time, he said angrily, "You just want to cut off ties with me." "Of course." Su Qingni answered without hesitation, "You have never regarded me as a wife, so why should I regard you as a husband? Now write the divorce letter and we will part ways in peace. Otherwise, don't blame me for tearing down your nest. You saw my ability with your own eyes that night." Because he had seen her before, he was reluctant to break up with Su Qingni. He was thinking whether he could use their relationship to get Su Qingni to help him do something. But now, Jian Baheng was a man who could clearly understand the situation. He quickly wrote the divorce letter and pressed his own handprint on it. Su Qingni signed the original owner's name on behalf of the original owner and also pressed her handprint. Each of them had a copy of the divorce letter. From then on, they had no relationship. Su Qingni put away her copy, folded it and put it in her chest pocket. Her expression softened a little. "Xiaoyan is studying in Lingshu Pavilion. Every new year, I will take Xiaolei to Lingshu Pavilion to see Xiaoyan. If you want to see them, you can go at that time. It's up to you whether you want to reveal your whereabouts and recognize them. Just don't let them get involved in your killer organization. This is my only warning to you." "I understand." Jian Baheng agreed. Su Qingni turned and walked out of the room. She found Zhuang Fei and Bailey Peng and left with him. "Master, we haven't found a way to deal with the killer organization yet. Why did you leave?" Zhuang Fei asked in confusion. "No need to look for it," Su Qingni said. "I already know what I want to know. This killer organization has nothing to do with me anymore." Zhuang Fiayu and Bailey Peng looked at each other and didn't say anything. Su Qingni returned to Lingshu Pavilion and spent some time with her daughter, then took her son away and continued her journey to find the extremely yin land. Along the way, they encountered many things again. There is no peace in the world. In the 6th year, Su Qingni finally found the extremely yin land and buried the netherworld stone in it. And Su Qingni has almost traveled all over the world of this world. She ended her journey and took Jian Zili back to the town where the Jian family was. However, she did not live in the Jian family, but built a small villa in the valley where Jian Boy was found, and lived in it with her son and Qiao Kui. As for Zhuang Fiayu and Bailey Peng, their kung fu has reached the top level in the world. Su Qingni kicked them out and let them wander the world on their own. Both of them have made a name in the world of martial arts that is not inferior to Jian Boyu. Of course, Bailey Peng uses a pseudonym. Jian Boyu has married a wife from Lingshu Pavilion. After his wife became pregnant, he took his wife back to the Jian family mansion, and then raised his son at home, and occasionally went to the world of martial arts. When the emperor died, Bailey Peng secretly went back to see the emperor. He took Qiao Kui with him, and the two of them were together. The emperor's biological son was pushed away by himself, and the favored nephew did not want the throne. The emperor finally had to let the ministers choose a person he was not familiar with from the royal family as the heir. At this time, the emperor regretted it. If he had been better to his biological son and paid more attention to his biological son, his son would not have practiced that evil skill. If he had not sent people to hunt down his son would not be missing, and he didn't know where he died in that corner. Then he now has an upright heir, and the throne will not fall into the hands of others. It was all his fault that he was obsessed with his so-called first love. He wanted to be good to his first love son, but ended up hurting his own son. The emperor saw his biological son just before he closed his eyes. There was a gentle girl beside him. He seemed to be doing well. He was not dead, and he had a lover in his own life. This is good. Very good. The emperor died with his eyes closed. Bailey Peng cried in front of the emperor's body, and then left the palace. He would never come back here again. Chapter 444, Jianghu 20. After Bailey Peng and Qiao Kui got married, they settled in the valley and became neighbors with Su Qingni and her son. Zhuang Fiayi also came back with his sweetheart and also settled in the valley. According to the original life plan, Zhuang Fiayi should become the leader of the demon cult, fall in love with Jian Ziyan at first sight, and become a stepping stone for Jian Ziyan and his lover. However, after he became Su Qingni's apprentice, he knew Jian Ziyan since childhood, but he didn't like Jian Ziyan. But Jian Ziyan still fell in love with the son of the leader of the Wulin League as originally arranged by fate. This time there was no leader of the demon cult to act as a catalyst for the two, and there was no achievement in destroying the demon cult. Jian Ziyan was just a disciple of Lingshu Pavilion to the outside world, and her background was not as strong as those girls with big forces. The son of the leader of the Wulin League did not have a deep affection for Jian Ziyan, and finally listened to his parents and married a young lady from a big family who was useful to his family. Jian Ziyan was hurt by love and finally married a young man who had always liked him. The power of the young hero's family is not as strong as that of the Wulin leader's family. The young hero is not as handsome as the Wulin leader's son, and his martial arts are not as good as the Wulin leader's son, but he is sincere to Jian Ziyan. Su Qingni thinks that this is the best destination for Jian Ziyan. Su Qingni is very optimistic about this young hero. When she gave her son-in-law a gift, she gave him a book of exercises. After practicing this book, his martial arts will definitely be better than the son of the Wulin leader. Jian Zili is a child raised by Su Qingni with great care. As soon as this child came out of the world, he set off a huge wave in the world. His martial arts, appearance, literary talent, and miscellaneous studies are all better than the young people in the world, and even some old predecessors are not as good as Jian Zili. Jian Zili's reputation surpasses his uncle, sister and two senior brothers. He is the dream lover of young girls in the world, and girls all want to marry Jian Zili. He also has a good relationship with young men. Although young people are jealous of him, they don't have any bad impression of him, and even take pride in making friends with him. Jian Zili has been in the martial arts world for 10 years and has become a legend in the martial arts world. 10 years later, Jian Zili also returned to the valley and married the daughter of Mu Qiansong and Jian Borao. If Jian Borao and Jian Baheng were biological siblings, Su Qingni would naturally oppose her son marrying Jian Borao's daughter. But they are not related by blood, so Su Qingni would naturally not object. Jian Baheng would come to see his two children every New Year, but he just watched in secret and did not come out to recognize them. A few years later, Jian Borao and Jian Boi thought that Jian Baheng was dead, and the two children thought so too. Jian Baheng did not want to come back from the dead to destroy his image in the eyes of his younger brother and sister-in-law and his son and daughter. Later, Jian Baheng had another child, but he never got married, and the child's mother was just his lover. Abandoning the identity of the eldest son of the Jian family and killing his enemies, Jian Baheng let himself go, and the number of lovers should not be too many. However, only one person gave birth to a child for him. It's just that being a killer is a dangerous profession, and it's unclear when you will die. I don't know what Jian Baheng was thinking. He didn't let the child's biological mother raise the child. He actually sent the child to the valley and asked Su Qingni to help him raise the child. Su Qingni. If Jian Baheng was in front of him, she would want to strangle him to death. Do you really think she is a saint? But Su Qingni still kept the child, because when she was going to take the child to Jian Baheng and throw the child to Jian Baheng, she got the news that Jian Baheng's killer organization had offended someone who couldn't afford to offend. That person organized a group of forces to wipe out the killer organization. Jian Baheng really died this time. Su Qingni didn't know who the child's biological mother was, but she thought she died with the destruction of the killer organization. Su Qingni could only adopt the child, but the child was left to Qiao Kui to take care of most of the time. The child had the best relationship with Qiao Kui, and later recognized Qiao Kui as his adoptive mother and Bailey Peng as his adoptive father. After Jian Zilai got married, Su Qingni left this world. Unfortunately, there are no fragments of the true spirit of the ancestor witch in this world. Su Qingni thought that Empress Pingxin would be very disappointed, but when Empress Pingxin heard that she had not found the fragment of the true spirit, she was only slightly disappointed, and then she took Su Qingni to the prehistoric world. Empress, where are we going? Su Qingni asked doubtfully. Empress Pingxin replied, to Kunlun Mountain, Queen Mother of the West and Dao Mu Yuanjin are waiting, one is missing, you go first. Su Qingni, oh, Queen Mother of the West is naturally not the Queen Mother of Yaoqi, but the head of the female fairies living in Kunlun Mountain, and Dao Mu Yuanjin is the mother of the stars of the Big Dipper. Emperor Guchen and Emperor Ziwei are both her sons. The status of the two female fairies is very high, no less than that of Empress Pingxin and Empress Nuwa. Su Qingni is not familiar with the two female fairies, but Empress Pingxin is their old friend and old card buddy. Su Qingni touched the mahjong made of top-grade fairy jade, and felt embarrassed again and again. She didn't expect that these higher-ranking female fairies were actually keen on playing mahjong. Judging from the feel of this mahjong, this set of mahjong has been used for thousands of years, right? No wonder I couldn't find Pingxin Niangniang sometimes. I thought Pingxin Niangniang was busy, but I didn't expect that she was playing mahjong. Entertainment and leisure are both good, not bad. Su Qingni rarely plays mahjong. When she was immortal, she was busy studying and working all day and couldn't play mahjong. After becoming an orthodox witch, she was busy running around for the fate of the witch and lich tribes, and had no time to play mahjong. After finally opening and closing the new world, the witch and lich tribes were able to live a stable life. She had to travel through various worlds to find the fragments of the ancestor witch's true spirit, and had no time and mood to play mahjong. Therefore, Su Qingni was very unfamiliar with playing mahjong, and kept firing cannons and giving money to the three veterans in front of them. The three veterans were embarrassed to win, but fortunately, their other card friend Nuwa Niangniang finally finished her own business and rushed over. Su Qingni was freed from the card game and quickly slipped away. Su Qingni touched her purse which had become thinner, smacked her lips, went to the treasure house of Lady Pingxin, took two magic weapons with good functions, and returned to the Lich Realm. A new game conference was being held in the Lich Realm. Su Qingni bought this game and played it. It turned out to be a Mary Sue development game. Su Qingni's face was covered with blood. She threw the game away and decided to travel through time. This time, Su Qingni found that her luck was very bad. Not only did she travel through time as a man, but she also traveled through time as an old man. In short, she traveled through time as an old man. It's not that I haven't traveled through time as a man before, but this is the first time I've traveled through time as an old man. Chapter 445 Old Age Life 1. This is an ordinary modern world. The original body is a very ordinary old man who is over 60 years old. His wife died a year ago. His only son went abroad to study after graduating from college and then stayed abroad to work. His daughter-in-law is his son's classmate. Although she is also a native of China, she moved to the United States with her parents more than 10 years ago. Now that a grandson has been born, because of the principle of proximity, he is left to the care of his daughter-in-law's parents. The original grandfather applied to go abroad to visit relatives and see his grandson when the child was just born. In the following 8 years, his son did not return home during the Chinese New Year, and the original body never hugged his grandson again. The original body could only see the appearance of his grandson from videos and photos. The original body had a son and a grandson, but it was as if he had no son and grandson. He was an old widower and had no one to take care of him. When Su Qingni possessed him, the original body had already died. He died of a sudden cerebral hemorrhage. He was unconscious at home, no one took him to the hospital, and he could not get rescued. Isn't there only one way to die? Su Qingni recited the mantra for the old man, hoping that he would have a filial child in his next life and enjoy his old age. After Su Qingni woke up, she put away all the photos of her original son Su Jianguo and grandson Charlie in the house. She packed all the things her son had used and the clothes he had worn before into woven bags, sold the things as scraps, and put the clothes into donation boxes to be donated to children in poor mountainous areas. This son has no father in his heart. He never calls or even video chats with his father all year round. He only goes to visit his father-in-law and mother-in-law on holidays. Although the distance is too far and it is inconvenient to go back and forth, if he is willing, he can always come back to visit his old father once a year. It is better to have no son like this. As for the grandson, haha, listen to the grandson's name, Charlie. He has yellow skin and black hair, and is a native flower-growing bloodline, but he insists on taking a foreign name. Every time he video calls with the original body, the child is very reluctant. He just mutters a few foreign words and runs away to play. It's a pity that the original body doesn't understand foreign words and has no idea what the grandson is saying. In order to be able to communicate and chat with her grandson, the original body, who was old and had poor memory, had to work hard to learn English. The effect was not very good. Before her death, she was only at the level of a high school graduate. She could only read some simple articles and was completely unable to listen and speak. It was a pity that the original body worked so hard, but her grandson and son didn't know about it. They only cared about their own lives and never thought about their old father, who was thousands of miles away. Su Qingni was not worthy of the original body. It was better not to have such a son and grandson. The original body's body was not very strong, and she had just had a cerebral hemorrhage, which made her even weaker. Su Qingni only packed for a while, and before Su Jianwen had packed 1/10 of his things, Su Qingni was too tired to bear it and collapsed on the bed. This world does not allow the existence of extraordinary powers, and mana cannot be used. The storage bag and the things inside cannot be smuggled over, and the internal force cannot be cultivated. It is impossible to make this body heal quickly, and it can only be slowly recuperated. After resting enough, Su Qingni continued to work and finally sorted out Su Jianwen's things before dinner. She took out the original owner's mobile phone, downloaded a takeaway app, and ordered a dinner that was both cost-effective and nutritious. The original owner was a very frugal person. He cooked 3 meals a day by himself, and the dishes were always the same. He was basically treating himself badly. He saved all the money in a bank card, hoping to give it all to his grandson as a gift when he returned home. The main reason was that it was too troublesome to remit money from China to foreign countries, and the handling fee was too high. Otherwise, the original owner would remit money to his son and grandson every year. The original owner's pension was not high or low, about 5,000 yuan a month, and he only spent 1,500 or 1,600 yuan a month, and saved all the rest of the money. It can be seen how badly this person treated himself. Su Qingni would not treat herself badly. She would not touch the money that the original owner had saved before, and left it to him according to the original owner's wishes. His grandson was so hungry. In the future, Su Qingni would use all the money she earned to enjoy herself. After dinner, she went downstairs for a walk to digest the food, and did a set of Tai Chi to nourish the body, and then Su Qingni returned home. It was only 7 o'clock in the evening, still early, and it was impossible to go to bed now. There was nothing good to watch on TV, only some melodramatic idol dramas. The plots made Su Qingni's teeth sour, the actors looked good but the acting was too awkward. It was really unbearable to watch. Su Qingni simply turned on a mobile computer. This computer was bought by the original body specifically for video calls with his son and grandson. The screen was very large and the configuration was also top-notch. As soon as Su Qingni used it, she felt the speed brought by the good hardware. It's just... The old man didn't know much about computers. The antivirus software on this computer had expired long ago, and the computer was infected with viruses. Su Qingni made an antivirus software by herself, and after installing it, she ran a virus scan and installed a protection network for the computer. Everything was completed, and the computer's running speed increased a little. Su Qingni used a thing many times, and found several software companies on the internet, and sent part of the antivirus software she made to them. After that, she just waited for whoever offered the highest price and then sold the antivirus software to whoever. Su Qingni browsed the internet. This world is similar to the Earth when she was still immortal, and the development of the internet is similar. Su Qingni read some current affairs news, and got to know this world better. She also read some headlines and gossip. Well, the entertainment industry is similar. Although they are not stars she knows, the routines are the same. She was about to look for clues about the extremely yin land on the internet, and suddenly her cell phone rang. Su Qingni answered the phone, and an old man's loud voice came from it. Su Jianguo, I need your help. Can you help? What help? Su Qingni asked. He searched through the original body's memory and knew who the loud-voiced old man was. It was an old man that the original body knew. They were considered friends. They lived in the same community. They saw each other every day. Sometimes they would go shopping together. The old man was different from the original body. He was a very cheerful, interesting and energetic old man. The old man was not frugal for the sake of his children like the original body. The old man's sons and daughters were very filial. They didn't want the old man's money, but gave him money every month and visited him once a month. This is what the original body envied the most. The old man had money and free time, so he had fun. 5 of the 7 days a week he went to the senior citizen university, attended the choir class to learn ballroom dancing and musical instruments, and on the weekends he went to farm to have fun or go to karaoke to sing with a group of old friends. His life was so wonderful. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 446 Old Age Life II. With a colorful life, filial children and grandchildren, and a smooth life, Zhang Weijin is also very healthy. Su Qingni couldn't think of anything that old man Zhang needed her help with. Then she heard old man Zhang shouting on the other end of the phone, I'm so angry. I tell you, I fought with those people, but I didn't win a single match. Then the people in my group disliked me for being too stupid and didn't want to take me with them. Can you help me fight? Su Qingni. Although old man Zhang is very energetic, he is old after all. How could he fight with others? Brother, are you okay? Are you injured anywhere? Su Qingni asked. Old man Zhang, I'm in good health, how could I be injured? You are awesome. Su Qingni's current health can't be compared with old man Zhang. He was out of breath after cleaning up the room, and he still fought with others? Would that cost her life? Brother, my body will fall apart if I don't drink in a fight. Zhang Weijin was stunned at first, then laughed. Brother, it's not a fight in real life. Not in real life? Su Qingni narrowed her eyes, thinking back to what Zhang Weijin said before, and asked, are you fighting in an online game? It's in an online game. So you play online games too? Zhang Weijin laughed. I haven't played it, but I still know a little about online games. Su Qingni said. Then you quickly download Hong Huang Legend, create a game character, and fight with me. Zhang Weijin said. This. Brother, we have known each other for so many years, and I'm in trouble, can't you help me? Zhang Weijin began to play the emotional card. Okay. Su Qingni agreed. Anyway, as an old man, he didn't have much to do and had a lot of free time, so he played games. I'll download the game now. Okay, then you download it. After downloading, go to the game and create a character immediately. Send me the character name by text message. Zhang Weijin said, I'll call a few more people to play the game. After that, Zhang Weijin hung up the phone. I guess he was in a hurry to call other people to play games. I just don't know how many old men and old ladies are willing to play online games. There must be very few old ladies who are willing to play online games. When they have time, they prefer to dance square dance. As for the old men, they need to exercise more and keep healthy when they are old. I don't think anyone would accept playing online games as a pastime, right? Su Qingni searched for the official website of Hong Huang Legend. While downloading the game, she read the introduction of Hong Huang Legend on the official website. Hong Huang Legend is the most popular online competitive game nowadays. It is very similar to the combination of League of Legends and Honor of Kings. It has become one of the esports games. Su Qingni had played League of Legends and Honor of Kings in the world she traveled through, so she quickly learned the rules of Legend of the Ancients and got started even faster. After creating her character, she sent the game name to Old Man Zhang and controlled the character to participate in a random battle. In this round, because she had not fully understood the attributes of the summoned hero, and had not mastered its skills and cooling time, Su Qingni lost without any suspense. In the second round, Su Qingni had used her powerful spiritual sense to remember the attributes, skills, cooling time and other characteristics of all heroes, but the old man's body was stiff and his fingers were not flexible, so Su Qingni still lost. Su Qingni thought of Old Man Zhang calling his friends to join the game to fight with him. A group of old people using stiff and inflexible fingers to control the game characters to fight against young people, how could they win? Su Qingni moved her fingers and was about to play the third round when a person named the world's #1 old man contacted her online and wanted to add her as an old friend. Su Qingni nodded in agreement. This the world's #1 old man must be Old Man Zhang, right? Such a middle school name. No wonder the old man is always like a child. Now Old Man Zhang is just like his grandson who just entered junior high school. Old Su hurried to Summoner's Rift together. Okay. Su Qingni agreed, and controlled the game character to Summoner's Rift. At a glance, he saw such a middle school name the world's #1 old man. He hurried over, and Old Man Zhang introduced him and the other 3 people. Well, one of them is an acquaintance, and also lives in the same community. His game name is Old Man Li, and the other 2 are Old Man Zhang's classmates at the senior university. They are Old Son with the online name Favorite Calligraphy and Old Zhao with the online name Grandson Going to University. Let's go and fight with others. Old Man Zhang sent a team formation request to everyone and was about to go to fight. Su Qingni grabbed him. Don't you want to get familiar with the game? Old Man Zhang said, you are not familiar with the game? It doesn't matter, I will take you a few times and you will be familiar with it. Su Qingni, you take people to play games? You have played several games, but you are still the lowest bronze. Can you lead others? I am familiar with the game. I mean Lao Zhao and the others. Have they played this game? Su Qingni said. Old Man Zhang chuckled, don't worry about this. These 3 old guys also play this game like me. If you don't believe me, take a look at their character information and record list. Su Qingni opened the information of one of them. Wow, this record is much better than yours. Old Man Zhang snorted unconvinced. My record is achieved by me alone. They all have grandchildren to help them fly. Su Qingni smiled. Your grandson doesn't play this game? He won't take you to fly. Old Man Zhang was a little unhappy. The stinky boy didn't play with me, saying that my skills were too bad and I was holding him back. Su Qingni and the other 3 old men laughed when they heard this. Amidst the laughter, the 5 old men entered the battle. The result is predictable. They were just giving points to their opponents. Because Lao Sun often practices calligraphy, his finger flexibility is better than the other 4 people, and his operation skills are also better than the 4 people, but he can only be at the same level as ordinary players. When he meets a master, Lao Sun will definitely be defeated. In this way, after one night, the 5 old men all ended up losing, except for the bad luck that the other teams were all offline and they won for a while. Old Man Zhang yelled that it was all because of his teammates who were not strong enough and dragged him down, and was immediately retorted by Lao Sun. You are the worst one, not as good as Lao Su. Lao Su just started playing the game today, and the game characters are so smooth to control, much better than you. You should face the wall and think about it. Old Man Zhang snorted. I won't call you tomorrow. I have to practice my skills. When I have practiced my skills well, I will call you to play together. Su Qingni smiled and went to buy medicinal materials for the medicinal bath tomorrow to quickly recover her body and make her fingers flexible again. Chapter 447 Old Age Life III. The next morning, Su Qingni got up early. She found a loose-fitting dress and went downstairs to do morning exercises. The original body rarely did morning exercises. The old men and women downstairs were a little surprised to see Su Qingni, and then greeted Su Qingni one after another. Old Su, good morning. The original body was a lonely old man, but he had a gentle personality. When he met people in trouble, he would help them. Therefore, although he didn't have many friends, he was popular. Others would greet him when they saw him. Su Qingni responded one by one, away from the group of old men and women who danced and practiced Tai Chi sword, and came to a remote corner of the community to practice a set of bodybuilding boxing. This set of boxing has the effect of strengthening the body and health, and is better than the fitness effect of Wu Qinzai and Tai Chi. After a set of boxing, Su Qingni was sweating, but she felt a little relieved from her heavy body. Instead of going home immediately, Su Qingni walked out of the community and had breakfast at a nearby breakfast shop. A bowl of vegetable porridge and a piece of red bean steamed bun, plus a plate of side dishes, is nutritious and delicious. After breakfast, Su Qingni took a walk back home. After taking a shower to wash off the stinky sweat on her body, Su Qingni changed into clean clothes and turned on the computer. She found that businessmen in this world are very efficient. She sent out the antivirus software program yesterday, and 2 companies responded today to ask her about purchasing the software. Because they were anxious, these people had been queuing her since 7 in the morning, and it had been more than an hour. Su Qingni negotiated with the 2 companies separately, and finally chose one and sold the software to that company. There was immediately an extra 800,000 yuan in her bank account. Su Qingni thought she should apply for another bank card. She would not touch the original owner's money, leaving it to the original owner's unfilial son and grandson. After finishing the business, it was not yet 11 o'clock. Su Qingni went out with her ID card and bank card. First, she went to a bank near her home to open a new account and transferred 800,000 to the new account. After that, the original owner's account was sealed. Then she went to a pharmacy in the original owner memory. There are many kinds of medicines in this pharmacy, whether it is Western medicine or Chinese medicine, and the prices are very affordable. Su Qingni did not use her social security card to buy medicinal materials. She directly used the 800,000 yuan she earned to pay for a large bag of medicinal materials and took it home. The original owner had a pot for boiling medicine at home, so she didn't need to buy another one. First soak the medicinal materials in water for half an hour, then boil them over high heat for 10 minutes, and then turn to low heat. While boiling the medicine, she prepared lunch. There were ingredients in the refrigerator, including eggs and meat, but not much. Su Qingni cooked dry rice in an electric rice cooker, made a dish of shredded pork with green peppers and a tomato egg drop soup, and lunch was done. In the afternoon, she took a medicinal bath. This is not a comfortable process. The medicinal power will enter the body through the skin and repair the withered muscles, meridians and internal organs in the body. This repair process is accompanied by numbness, itching and pain, which makes it difficult for people to bear. If it were an old man, he would jump out as soon as he sat in the medicine. But Su Qingni is not an ordinary old man. She didn't climb out of the bathtub until all the medicinal power in the medicine was absorbed by her body. She climbed onto the bed with sore hands and feet. She didn't even have the strength to walk. She had takeout for dinner, and she really didn't have the energy to cook dinner. After dinner, Su Qingni rested for a while, and when she recovered, she turned on the computer and entered the game. On the friend list, the avatars of several old men were all bright. Su Qingni sent a greeting message to each of them. After a while, the 4 old men all replied. The 3 old men, old son, were playing with their grandsons, and were being led by their grandsons and their friends. Old Zhang's grandson was not allowed to play games by his parents, so naturally he couldn't play with his grandfather. Old Zhang was waiting alone for the random assignment of teammates. After what happened yesterday, even if he was disliked by other players again, he would not look for opponents to play games in anger. They were all a group of old men, and they were just giving heads to others when they were together. It would be better for him to be assigned to other teams immediately. Even if he would be scolded, he would still have a small chance of winning and improving his record. Otherwise, His record list would be really ugly. The four old men let Su Qingni play by herself. Su Qingni was of course obedient. She chose to be randomly assigned and joined the team. After taking a medicinal bath and practicing bodybuilding techniques today, her fingers became more flexible and no longer as stiff as yesterday. As a result, Su Qingni's performance today was the same as that of an ordinary player, well, about the same level as her teammates and opponents. In the game, the masters are not big carrots, most of them are ordinary players. After playing for a night, Su Qingni had some wins and some losses, and her fingers became more and more flexible because of the constant movement. At 10 o'clock in the evening, Su Qingni quit the game. Before leaving the game, she looked at the situation of the other four old men. Several of them were still in the game, and her ranking had surpassed that of Old Man Zhang. Haha, I wonder what kind of reaction Old Man Zhang would have when he saw his ranking. The next day, Su Qingni went out to exercise in the morning as usual, searched for clues about the extremely yin land on the internet in the morning, took a medicinal bath in the afternoon, and played games in the evening. As her body recovered, Su Qingni's fingers became more and more flexible, and she became more and more adept at operating the game characters. Specifically, if her teammates in the game were not like Old Man Zhang, who was a drag on her, she would almost always win, and her ranking had been upgraded to the Order Silver level. Su Qingni's game character attracted the attention of some players, and they would choose to fight with her as a teammate. In reality, Su Qingni's body has also improved a lot. She will not be exhausted by doing a little heavy work like when she was just possessed. Now Su Qingni can run 800 meters in one breath without breathing, and can knock down two young and strong guys at once. The skin is much smoother, wider, and more shiny, which makes a group of old ladies amazed and envious after seeing it, and they all ask Su Qingni what skincare products he used to make him look 10 years younger. There are no skincare products, but Su Qingni generously shared the recipe of the medicinal bath with everyone. However, she reduced the amount of medicine, so other people will not feel numb, itchy or painful when taking a medicinal bath, and the natural effect will be greatly reduced. But the medicine is still effective. If you soak in it for 3 months, it can restore some vitality to the elderly and make them 5 or 6 years younger. But I don't know if these old men and women believe in his prescription and whether they will take a medicinal bath. As it turns out, some people believe it and actually take a medicinal bath. Several old ladies envied Su Qingni's appearance of looking 10 years younger, and they really bought herbs to take a medicinal bath. Chapter 448 Old Age Life Part 4. The amount of medicinal materials used was reduced, and the effect was much weaker, but at least it was effective. The old ladies were not in a hurry. It takes time for anything to show its effect, and they can wait. Then, a few months later, the effect came out, and each old lady looked several years younger, which amazed the other old men and women, and they all paid for the medicinal materials. A few months later, the children saw the smooth skin of their parents and paid for the medicine. The prescription was spread like this. Although only a few people believed it. The elderly in this area believed in the prescription, so they were all in good health. And with good health, the elderly became more active and more fond of making trouble. The old ladies who danced square dance ran to participate in the square dance competition, made it to the finals in one fell swoop, and appeared on TV. The old men organized a team to perform Tai Chi sword and participated in the opening ceremony of a provincial sports meeting. Old Man Zhang was the main force of the performance team. He also pulled Su Qingni into the team and did not allow Su Qingni to refuse. The reason was that Su Qingni was good looking. After joining the team, she could improve the team's appearance and attract more attention from the old ladies. What could Su Qingni do? She could only accept it. The sports meet was going on vigorously. However, apart from the athletes and the units behind them, not many people paid attention to such non-national sports meet. Even for national sports meet, few people paid attention, unless it was the Olympics and Asian Games, which would attract the attention of the whole country. Su Qingni thought that she would just practice Tai Chi sword and that would be it, but she didn't expect that when she packed up and was about to go home, she was stopped. "Old man, you have a very good image, do you want to shoot a commercial?" The middle-aged man asked Su Qingni with a smile. "Shoot commercials? Doesn't that mean you will be on TV and become a star?" Old Man Zhang's eyes lit up when he heard it. The middle-aged man glanced at Old Man Zhang. Well, this old man has a good image, and he looks energetic, so he also gave Old Man Zhang a business card. I'm Shishui's, the manager of Peanut Advertising Company. Old man, you have a very good image. Do you want to shoot an advertisement? Old man Zhang was suddenly happy. Really? I can also shoot an advertisement. Yes, old man, you look energetic and healthy, which is very suitable for the image of a health product advertisement. Shishui said, or, you and old man Su come to our company tomorrow, I will take you to the studio to have a look, and then let you know about the health product, and then you can consider whether to shoot the advertisement. Old man Zhang was very moved by Shishui's sincere invitation, and poked Su Qingni with his finger. Old Su, why don't we go and have a look tomorrow? Although it was a solicitation tone, Su Qingni had known old man Zhang for a long time, and she could tell that old man Zhang was 100% willing in his heart. Going to the advertising company tomorrow is just a formality. This old man will definitely agree to Shishui's invitation to shoot an advertisement. The next day, old man Zhang came to Su Qingni early in the morning. This old man is dressed more energetic today, wearing a tang suit, with the demeanor of a sage. Su Qingni's mouth twitched. At this time, the company is not open, right? Old man Zhang choked. Then let's play a game of chess, and we'll go after we finish playing. Su Qingni, are you in the mood to play chess? Can you get in? Old man Zhang said angrily, bring the chessboard, I will definitely get in and beat you to pulp. Su Qingni took out the chessboard and beat old man Zhang in 3 games in a row. Old man Zhang was so angry that he threw the chess pieces on the chessboard and messed it up. No more, no more. Su Qingni looked at the time. It was already 9:30, so she stood up. Let's go to Peanut Advertising Company. Peanut Advertising is a large advertising company. Not only does it have a wide range of business, it also has a special model department and has contracted advertising models. Shishui showed the 2 old men the contract between the company and the model, letting them know that the advertising company would not exploit the model and that the model would be treated very well. Then, old man Zhang, who had been tempted for a long time, signed a contract with the advertising company and became the exclusive model of the advertising company. Su Qingni did not sign the contract, but promised Shishui that if there was a suitable advertisement, she would help shoot it. Shishui was quite satisfied with this result. Although his initial target was Su Qingni, it was also good to sign old man Zhang. Although this old man was not as good looking as old man Su, his image was also quite good. In the future, if there are advertisements for the elderly, they must be old man Zhang's. The company happened to have an advertisement for health products to be filmed, and the director's setting required 2 old men. It just so happened that Su Qingni and old man Zhang could be on it. Old man Zhang didn't know anything about the camera, acting, etc., but Su Qingni was there. This man has been in the entertainment industry for several lifetimes, and filming is as common as drinking boiled water. With her leading him, old man Zhang quickly got into the role. The director was very satisfied with this, and looked at Su Qingni with admiration. Could this old man be a senior in the film and television industry? The advertisement was broadcast on TV not long after, and old man Zhang and Su Qingni became celebrities in the area where the community was located. Su Qingni pushed old man Zhang out to deal with other people, and stayed at home to play games. Anyway, old man Zhang likes this feeling of being the center of attention. Su Qingni's hand speed is now faster, which has led to her never losing every battle. No matter how weak the opponent is, Su Qingni can kill the opponent alone and win with her own hand speed and skills. Now, she is already a king. In the king rankings, Su Qingni's ranking is still rising. Her game account has also attracted the attention of some professional players. Mainly because of a random selection of opponents, Su Qingni became teammates with a professional esports player. This player is ranked quite high in the country, with many fans, and even more people in the circle who follow him. This guy was live streaming when he teamed up with Su Qingni. He originally wanted his fans to watch his cool moves and shout 666 for him. But the fans shouted 666 not for him, but for a teammate next to him. A teammate who was not in the circle, but just an ordinary player. However, this boy named Ice also shouted 666 for his teammate. His operation was amazing. Even better than the best operation of their team, it was truly amazing. Ice immediately contacted the team leader and coach and asked them to watch the operation of the one called Wizard. After watching the operation of the Wizard, the leader and coach made a decision at the same time: find this wizard and invite him to join their team. Chapter 449 Old Age Life Part 5. The boss Liu He and the coach got Su Qingni's registration information from the game company through their connections, and found Su Qingni through the information, and then both of them were dumbfounded. This old man is actually the god who crushed their players on the internet? Liu He and the leader couldn't believe it. Why do esports players retire in their 20s? That's because the requirements of esports are very high, requiring extremely sensitive reaction speed and more sensitive operation. When you get older, your reaction speed will be much worse than before, and the flexibility of your fingers will weaken. Therefore, esports players are usually no more than 25 years old. And the old man in front of him actually beat the esports players in playing games, which means that his reaction speed and operation are better than those of young people. But is this really possible? The body and fingers of the elderly are stiff, right? Can you operate the mouse and keyboard sensitively? Could it be that the grandson of this old man used his grandfather's identity to register a game account? Is it because the child is not old enough to go online and play games at will? Excuse me, are you the grandfather of the witch? Liu He asked Su Qingni. Su Qingni looked at the two young men with amusement. Their incredulous expressions amused Su Qingni. Witch? The witch in the game Legend of the Ancient World? Su Qingni asked. Liu He nodded vigorously and looked at Su Qingni expectantly. Are you really the grandfather of the wizard? No. Su Qingni smiled and shook her head. In the puzzled gazes of Liu He and the others, she said, I am the wizard. Liar. Liu He shouted immediately, and then realized that he was rude and quickly apologized to Su Qingni. Well, Grandpa Su, I'm sorry I was rude. But you can't lie to us. Su Qingni tilted her head and made an innocent expression. How did I lie to you? Liu He, you said you are a wizard, aren't you lying to us? Su Qingni, I am a wizard, it's a fact, but I'm not lying. Liu He, then the one who controls the game character of the wizard to fight on the internet must not be you, right? Su Qingni, if not me, who else could it be? Liu He, is it your grandson? Su Qingni, my grandson is 9 years old this year, and he is not in the country. He was born and lives in the United States. He is a complete banana person. He can't play games, and he doesn't know how to play Hong Huang Legend. Liu He asked in disbelief, which, is it really you? Su Qingni nodded. Liu He and the coach took a breath of cold air at the same time, and their eyes turned to Su Qingni, as if they were looking at a god. Su Qingni calmly drank a sip of coffee. Liu He and the coach retracted their gazes, looked at each other, and exchanged opinions. What should we do? Should we let the old man join our team? It's not good. The old man is so old, what if he is not in good health and can't support him to participate in the competition? The old man is killing all around in the game, and he doesn't look like someone with poor health. There is a generation gap every 3 years. I don't know how many generations there are between the old man and the team members. Can they get along well and become tacit comrades in arms? The old man is so good at playing games, so his thoughts are naturally different from other elderly people. He is avant-garde, and he should be able to get along well with everyone. An important question. What question? Is the old man willing to be recruited by us, become our comrade in arms, and participate in the competition with us? Oh, this is indeed a big problem. The two looked at Su Qingni together again, their eyes were burning. Liu He opened his mouth and made an invitation to Su Qingni. Su Qingni blinked, huh? Because Liu He and the coach only said their names before, and did not say that they were related to esports, Su Qingni thought they were from the game company, and came to her on behalf of the company to participate in some company-sponsored event. As a result, these two were actually from the esports circle and invited her to join them? Su Qingni naturally refused. She really played games just to kill time, but she didn't want to make games a career. You said that esports can make you famous and make money? Is her old man a person who is short of money? As for fame? She has shot 2 commercials and is considered famous in some circles. Liu He and the coach left unhappily. After returning, they told Su Qingni's true identity to the team members at the door, which surprised the teammates. Ice was shocked and told the fans who watched the live broadcast about this matter. In response, the fans thought Ice was joking. No one believed that an old man would have better gaming skills than esports players. As a result, a few months later, when these fans went to watch the Ice game, they found that there was really an old man sitting next to him. He looked very kind and handsome. Everyone Greek letter sigma, what I said at the beginning was actually true? Su Qingni smiled at the camera, as if smiling dotingly at her own grandson. causing the audience watching the live broadcast of the game to gasp. Why did Su Qingni appear at the esports competition venue? Of course, Liu He and the coach invited her. Su Qingni had refused them to join the team before, and the two were not disappointed. After all, Su Qingni's age was there, and after the two knew that he was a wizard, they had never thought that the old man would really join their team. However, there are unexpected events in life. The game is about to start, and the team is poached by the enemy. Not only have all the reserve players been poached, but one of the regular players has also been poached. Without the supplementary players, how can they form a team to participate in the competition? The enemy had already calculated it, and deliberately poached shortly before the game started, so that the team with missing personnel could not find personnel to supplement for a while. Seeing that the game was about to start, they could not participate in the game if the players were not complete. In the end, Liu He asked Su Qingni for help. Seeing the pitiful looks of the other team members, Su Qingni nodded and agreed, becoming the oldest player in the esports competition. When the team submitted the list of players to the organizing committee thought that they had written the wrong number when filling out the information, and called to confirm. When they heard that the age was not wrong and one of the players was really 65 years old, the staff of the organizing committee were completely stunned. Then, she revealed this information to others, making them stunned as well. Then everyone was eager for the game to start quickly so that they could see how this old man dominated the game. Su Qingni did not disappoint those who expected her. Her reaction and hand speed completely defeated all the contestants. With several teammates, they made it to the finals, won the championship, and took their teammates to the international stage. Su Qingni is well known to esports fans as an old grandfather and has become an idol for many people. Chapter 450 Old Age Life VI. The original son saw his father in the news and was a little afraid to recognize him. Is that young and energetic old man really his father? Esports champion? Are you kidding? His father is a person who doesn't even know how to use a computer. How could he play online games and become an esports champion? It's just that they look so similar and their names are exactly the same. Su Jianwen quickly called his father. When he was looking for the phone number, he suddenly realized that he hadn't contacted his father for a long time. He was busy with work and often forgot to call his father. In the past, his father took the initiative to call him, but his father didn't call him anymore, and the two sides lost contact, and he didn't even realize it for so long. Did his father not call him? Did he not care about his son? Was he disappointed in his son? Su Jianwen rarely looked for problems in himself. Think about it, I haven't returned to China to visit my father for 10 years. Is this considered unfilial? Su Jianwen couldn't help but blush. Thank God, my father didn't drag his phone number into the blacklist. After a few rings, my father answered the phone. Dad? Su Jianwen shouted with guilt. Su Qingni heard the guilt in his voice, raised her eyebrows and said, "Why did you call me?" Su Jianwen felt even more guilty after hearing this. I saw you on TV. You actually became an esports champion. Su Qingni said, I was too bored, so I became addicted to playing games online. I became good at playing games, practiced skills, and was noticed by the esports team. Later, the team had an accident and asked me to save the situation. I went, joined the team and competed with them. As a result, I competed in the international arena and won a championship. Dad, you are so awesome. Su Jianwen admired sincerely. He himself was engaged in a computer-related professional job, but if he participated in an esports competition, he would definitely be killed by others in seconds. How much time did his father spend on practicing his skills to become the champion of the esports competition? Thinking of his father saying that he became addicted to online games because he was too bored, Su Jianwen felt even more guilty. Dad, I'm sorry. Su Jianwen apologized in her low voice. I will definitely go home to visit you at the end of the year. Su Qingni hummed, which made Su Jianwen unable to hear the joy. Just go back, just give Su Jianwen the things and money that the original body left for his son. My teammates call me again, I'm hanging up. Su Qingni said, and hung up the phone decisively. Su Jianwen held the microphone in a daze. He felt that he had lost his father. What are you daydreaming about? His wife came out of the kitchen with a fruit plate, and saw Su Jianwen in a daze, and couldn't help asking. Su Jianwen handed over the microphone and looked at his wife. We will go back to China for Christmas and New Year this year. Are you crazy? Going back to China will take up so much time. His wife said disapprovingly, and I have made an appointment with my parents. We will go to LA for Christmas this year. Your parents, you accompany your parents every year, but you never go home to visit my dad. Your parents are the elders, so my dad is not the elder? Your parents don't live far from us, and we can visit them once a week. What about my dad? We haven't seen each other for 9 years. Su Qingni couldn't help but get angry. He didn't think it was a big deal before. He just thought it was normal for his parents-in-law to live close to his home and visit them more often. But compared with his own father, it's very abnormal, okay? He is like the son of his parents-in-law. He only knows how to be filial to his parents-in-law, but not to his biological father. I guess his biological father is too disappointed in him, so he no longer takes the initiative to contact him. What's wrong with you? You know how long it takes to go back home. The vacation is not enough for us to go back and forth. How can we go back? His wife was unhappy. Who told your dad to live in China? If you miss him, you can let him come abroad. You know my dad is not used to living abroad. Su Qingni became even angrier. His own father can't speak foreign languages and is not used to foreign food. Most of the time, his wife cooks Western food for 3 meals a day. His father can't eat much and has lost weight during that period. His father returned to China so soon. This must have accounted for a large proportion. Su Qingni couldn't help but suspect that his wife might be irregular. She didn't want her own father to stay at home, so she used this method to drive him away. What's your vision? Su's wife was unhappy with Su Qingni's gaze and questioned. Did you make Western food on purpose? Huh? Knowing that my dad is not used to Western food, you deliberately make Western food and use this method to drive my dad away? Su Qingni questioned. No. Su Qingni could tell that his wife was guilty. After being married for more than 10 years, she could tell. As expected. Su Qingni was furious. Do you regard me as your husband? If you really regard me as your husband, how can you not be filial to my father? Su Qingni was exposed and snorted coldly. You are talking about me, but you are the same. If you are really filial to your father, how come you didn't take the initiative to care about him for so many years? Have you ever thought about going back to visit him? Before you talk about me, reflect on yourself first. Su Qingni was speechless and didn't know how to refute. His wife was right. If he was really filial, how could he let his own father be disappointed in him? I must return home by the end of this year, Su Qingni said firmly. I'm going to take Charlie with me. Dad must miss Charlie very much? His wife frowned. No, you go back by yourself. Charlie wants to go to LA with me and my parents. Su Qingni took a breath, suppressed his anger, and said, we can go to LA anytime. By the end of this year, I must bring Charlie back home. His wife snorted. How long are the holidays for Christmas and New Year? Do you want me to remind you? Su Qingni had already made a plan and said, at my annual leave, it's enough. His wife was angry. You said you would save up your annual leave and wait until next year for our family to go to Hawaii. Su Qingni looked at his wife. You only have your parents in your heart, not my dad. I really don't know how to continue living with you as a daughter-in-law. His wife couldn't help but panic when she heard this. What do you mean? Su Qingni sighed. I'm wondering, do you really regard me as your husband or your property? The wife was at a loss, not understanding what Su Qingni meant by this. Su Qingni said, if you treat me as your husband, you will also treat my relatives as your relatives, and you will be filial to them and close to them. If you only treat me as your property, how can you care about my relatives? He stared into his wife's eyes, saw the guilt in her eyes, and sighed. I don't know whether our engagement will continue. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.